OneXBet and EVA Alfie present betting on all esports events on the website and in the OneXBet app. OneXBet. Play with EVA.
Hello and welcome back to the Rest European Series. Over the last week, we put 16 teams to the test to see who is going to come out in the first of our online European tournaments. We have cut that 16 down to just 2 in the grand finals today of our week. I'm the Eternal J. I'm joined by Dwayne as per usual. We've had the honour of casting some epic CS over the course of the last 7 days. And I have to say that I think right now we've got 2 very key teams that are looking to prove something today.
Looking to prove something, but maybe not expected to be here. I think there was a lot of teams at the top of our list that would sort of be in that run to go deep. Your Aurora's out there, your Big, your Amcal, your Ecstatic, your Monty maybe. And then right at the end, I think we keep getting surprises, even from the group stage to the playoffs to now the grand final.
Well, you can see, of course, how the playoffs have played out over the course of the last 3 or 4 days or so. The quarterfinals saw many upsets. Bleed taking down the Rebels camp, Aurora falling to the Young Ninjas, Fnatic beating out 3D Max relatively comfortably at the end of their series, and then eventually Bleed and Fnatic did press on in their semis to make it to today's grand finals. Certainly, as per usual, walking in with a clear favourite and a defined idea of who should be taking this grand final, Dwayne, but as we've seen over the course of this tournament, it doesn't always work out that way.
Well, you even take the group stage as an example. There was a lot of 2-0s. There was a lot of comfortable games. Yeah, we got into the playoffs, and there's been some 3-mapper affairs. There's been quite a lot of games in which teams have been winning each other's map picks. There's been some massive blowouts and then returning scorelines. There's been a lot of wild exchanges, and I think it's great to come down to these final couple of teams to just see, is it going to be by the book? Is it going to be just like it is on paper?
Well, plenty, of course, to discuss when it comes to the match itself, but of course we have to discuss what it's all about here, Dwayne. I mean, the top prize pools and the points here in the rest circuit always spread across the top 8, but only one will take the lion's share of the rest points, and that is, of course, to build to our LAN finals in Belgrade, the Latin America region and the European region, of course, setting up our points table so you can see how things look at the end of our first 2 tournaments in the online circuit. Some not so surprising names involved in the LATAM region, but Europe, of course, just this one tournament to set out our points position and, of course, the key 100 points for the winner of today's match.
And realistically speaking, it might not be about consistency on getting to the LAN. It might just be about how threatening you can be to win the whole thing. Because again, you kind of look at getting to the first round of the playoffs and it's 15 points. If you come here and you win, let's just say 2 European events, mate, you're just like secured. You're so far ahead for everyone else. So it might just come down to maybe not scraping by, but being threatening, going all the way every single time.
And for teams like Fnatic and Bleed, they would love to set themselves in with the first tournament in the European division. Their key chance, of course, to set them up above and beyond mostly everybody else. And, 75 points is still pretty respectable, so that much of a guarantee is certainly good enough for teams, especially the likes of Bleed, that we didn't see making it this far. But again, both teams have something to prove, like I said a little bit earlier on today. I guess we can start talking about the Bleed side here in terms of what they have to prove, because, again, hit the ground and stalled. But ever since they came into rest, ever since they started up playing with Vlad, and ever since they started putting him into certain positions of the roster, they've really turned their results around. They've had some fantastic runs. They're on a 6 best-of-3 win streak as of today.
And honestly, I think the reason why it was quite tough to kind of see their form and for a lot of people to be critical is that the first few events that Bleed played in were just qualifiers, just open qualifiers, and we know how tough that they can be. Now that we've actually seen them get into events, we know that they're awaiting the playoffs in the Yellow Compass event. We know, obviously, here they've done insanely well. They've only dropped a single map in that semi-final game. They're completely undefeated. And I think it shows for Bleed that now they're getting into these tournaments where best-of-3s are definitely used more than the best one landscape, and that they can have time to prepare for the team and get ready for the official. More results are coming, which looks really positive for this organization.
And I said this a couple of days ago, I think, as well. It's not just because Vladim's inserted himself into the team and become a star. Like, he's become, like, I think, kind of the glue that's kept him together. Farthen has turned into an absolute rock for this team. Cypher has hit that key level of performance that we saw from him back on ITB. And as a result of those 2 elements, alongside the rest of the Bleed camp, they have come together as a unit, even if there are some liabilities.
Yeah, I would say that Hampus has been very consistent as a caller, and of course just individually. I remember a couple of his matchups. I mean, the Nuke one as an example, when he played Young Ninjas in the group stage. Remember him having a really good performance then. The overpass against Bet Boom yesterday, that first half, it was him and Cypher. So while we don't normally look as the in-game leaders as being some of the guys that can really push over the line, I actually think that Hampus has been holding his way individually with impact at a very high level.
Alongside this calling start, it's worked out well for this new Bleed team. They could well take themselves a title and, of course, finally set themselves in for the success that they have really been looking for. But a similar situation could be for Fnatic the same. They came out of the RMR not making it to the major. Disappointing from a name like that. The team itself would love to bounce back and get involved in this tournament, get a tournament victory on the board here. We thought they might have fallen to 3D Max. They were pushed the distance against the Young Ninjas, but they still stand here with a chance to get that hundo.
I think, in all honesty here from Fnatic, they have had a shaky run when it comes to how competitive the officials have been in comparison to Bleed. You look at their group stage, 1-2 loss against Preezy, 2-0 against Alternate Attacks, 2-1 versus Preezy. You then get into the playoffs, 2-1 versus 3D Max, 2-1 versus Young Ninjas. But that's maybe misleading, because when you look at least some of the playoff games, the one against 3D Max, there has been some really comfortable map victories. We saw that on map 2 of Overpass and map 3 of Mirage against 3D Max. And look at what they did against Young Ninjas on their map pick of Ancient, that first map of the semi-final. Convincing, very strong. And I think right here for Fnatic, they are going to be the favourites. They're a team that's been together longer. There's a team that are more successful at the international level. We saw it even at the RMR, nearly qualifying to the major. Fnatic will come into this series, and they won't underestimate Bleed, but they'll know to themselves that this is prime opportunity in the first few months of this year to be able to win a tournament.
Yeah, look, when they look comfortable, they look lights out, and I think that's the key thing the Fnatic will be looking for the Bleed side. It's their one sort of a weakness point that they can try and target for them, get on those better halves to start, really get the streaks going, and try and usurp them very early, much like Young Ninjas did throughout the course of their own map pick in the semi-finals. Again, these teams are not infallible, but this is going to be a bit of a competitive affair, in my personal opinion. Of course, best of 3 match, Dwayne, so talk me through the veto process.
It should be Ancient or Overpass getting picked, and with Overpass being banned, Ancient should get picked here. And for Bleed, their Inferno and their Mirage has been very solid. You can't get Mirage, so you go towards Inferno.
And they also have a chance to get Mirage out as the final map in the series. Oh, excuse me, sorry, I thought that was Anubis banned first. No, it's Anubis as the final map in the series. So Ancient, Inferno, Anubis. How do we feel about the third one?
I think for Anubis, we've actually seen some pretty good results from Bleed. I mean, look at what happened in that third map decider against BetBoom. We saw a bit of a wild series. It looked like, in all honesty, that Nafany and co were going to 2-0 that series. They get into that final map decider, and Cypher and Cirque explode. Cirque had probably the best map out of all tournaments so far. Cypher towards mid with SMGs for Mars, rifles. He was just getting multi-frag after multi-frag after multi-frag. So I do look at this back end of the veto and say this does look promising to come through for Bleed.
I mean, you mentioned Cirque's performance on that Anubis in the last round, but I also have to take a look at Cirque as an individual over the course of this tournament, and we have seen moments where he has been a liability for the Bleed side. Can we rely on that performance to come out again for the third map?
Probably not. I mean, he's the lowest rated player for Bleed in this tournament. He's averaged a 1.003 rating, I should say, and you compare that to a 1.21 for Farfan, a 1.20 for Cypher, a 1.17 for Hampus. He's had a real tough tournament. He actually has a KD difference of 0, which is not encouraging for an AWPer. This is his chance to once again rectify it. I think we've seen some pretty good halves from him. We've seen the odd individual strong map for him, but in terms of consistency from group stage into playoffs, Cirque hasn't been there.
Well, I'm curious to find out how well they will bounce back on that Anubis, if they can do so in the first place. Although, in my personal opinion, I do see this being a 3-map affair. You've got a very strong Ancient there from the Fnatic side. Inferno, I mean, yeah, it's not quite the Mirage that we've seen from the Bleed camp, but I have confidence in their stance being the highest played map in the pool for the last 3 months. So I do feel like we're going to 3 maps here. Do we edge out Bleed over Fnatic, though?
Slightly for me, just because I think their run's been stronger. I can look at Fnatic here and say they've got more in terms of tangible results. They've got more time together. They've got more cohesion. But I look at this recent run of form from Bleed, the 2-0 against Big, the 2-0 against Young Ninjas, the 2-0 against Rebels, and the 2-1 versus BetBoom. And I'm going to back Bleed in this series. 2-1 for me.
Do you know what? I was hoping you would pick Fnatic because I want to go Bleed as well. I believe in the hype train, man. They have been unstoppable in most opposition that they have faced so far, losing 1 map over the course of RES. Can they make it nearly flawless? Can they make it a 2-0 grand final? We're about to find out as the RES European Series comes to a head. Fnatic's map pick starting things off in the pistol round. Afro has seen the first.
Now, there's a lot of CTs down here from mid, and the fight out towards Shelf is successful for Body. Back and forth trades, but QB gets a couple.
And so many individuals thrown to that fight. QB finding Father as the latest. Vladen trying to hold on, but Afro's P250 is far too strong. Cypher's got to get out of there. Fnatic will take the pistol.
And do you remember that pistol round we saw on the T side of Ancient from the likes of Fnatic up against Young Ninjas in that game yesterday? QB was in, what, a 1v3 and ended up getting a 4K with the Glock. Look what he's done this time around. 2 kills out from shelf. Denies any accountability there from Bleed.
Storming face from both sides. Fnatic are losing players to Cypher, who is certainly taking bodies with him as he goes. But no time left realistically to get this defuse in. Now being heard by the T-side forces, so the flank will also come in from Matties to try and adjust again, still grab that P250. A little bit extra firepower, and not much in the grand scale of things. Again, Fnatic will take the first, start things off on a high note.
And one thing that I want to get into a conversation here, Jay, is the highest rated players in the event so far. So that's group stage and the playoffs. Crims is number 1, Matties is number 2, Farfan is number 4, QB's number 6, and Cypher is number 7. We have got a lot of players, 2 from Bleed and 3 from Fnatic, that have shown us a lot of quality, have shown us a lot of consistency over the course of this event. But it does make me wonder, Jay, if it's 2 versus 3, what kind of difference is that going to make in a grand final?
Well, if you can't, as I've always said many times before, if you can't beat him on the firepower and the sheer raw talent, you have to beat him on the tactics. Let's see whether the opposition will have that. Very early doors, of course. Fnatic getting those guns together as you would expect. Mac 10 a body, seeing whether he can farm any cash here. There is no extra Kevlar or force buys into the CT side, opting to go towards those guns very early here. Right call to make in my eyes. Favin does get caught off, but Cypher still does damage with that P250, so respectable enough in terms of the very little that they had. Site has been taken and the plant should be secured.
Now, Afro getting out towards that AK, those 2 smokes down. It wastes a lot of time for the CTs to even prod themselves around. They might try and see if they can stack up towards short or for long and just see if one more kill can present.
Just flashing their way in as best they can. Ruby sees where Hampus and Circa coming from and sprays down all 3 as they rush around that corner. There it is. Simple enough 2-0 start. Losing 1 rifle. The rifles return for Bleed.
And you mentioned Bleed only dropping a single map in this entire tournament. For Fnatic, every single best of 3 except the one against alternate attacks has gone 3 maps. So you compare the maps that have been played for both of these teams. This is 9 maps played in the tournament for Bleed and 14 for Fnatic. And I wonder what difference that's going to make. It shows for Bleed they've been a lot more consistent and a lot stronger in their best of 3s. But it also shows for Fnatic when it gets deeper and when they get to that 3rd map decider, they're so much stronger.
And again, we've seen maps where Fnatic get comfortable and you can't stop them. One of the key objectives of Bleed is to avoid that kind of situation. Fnatic, right now they are looking comfortable, but the true tests begin here with the M4s facing off against still what is mostly a bonus buy on Fnatic's side. Jump face of Farvan, of course, revealing himself towards long. Cypher and Hampers are still unknown, though.
We saw a very good Ancient performance from Bleed in the quarterfinal matchup against Rebels. The Poles map pick, one of their strongest maps in the pool. We saw a 9-3 CT half and a 13-3 result in the end for the international squad. Can they try and replicate it this time around? Body drawing out a lot of utility out there from Cave.
Matty's spray looks like he's right on the target, but doesn't manage to do so. Cypher takes some more bang damage from the lane individuals. Fnatic toying with their food here, have only so much more time left to play with. And that bomb's making a rotation as Hampers looks in. He's trying to spot them at the door, but not finding anything yet.
Well, this looks very encouraging from Fnatic. For Bleed, you've got, what, a couple of smokes left and at least a couple of flashes. You've got no incendiary to slow down the exec. Yes, Vladen can put a smoke down towards A main, but this is where Fnatic will have to not cancel. They'll have to continue, and Body's trying to see if he can force an over-rotation.
Sprayed back to 22, Cypher caught to 34, and Vladen and Cirque about to receive. Shadows have been seen. Cirque gets a dink off. The M4 at tree only goes for a 1-for-1, and Cirque gets overwhelmed. 10 seconds. Cypher watching the mid lurk. Hamper's going to do so much here. They've got to get some sort of pick back against the bomb planter, but they can't seem to do so. Advantage taken by Fnatic. Cypher is going to get caught off guard here by Body here. Mac 10 sees the back of his head, sprays him back. Hampus does find 1 pick, and the second low HP player, another one of Body, is being challenged. He's got to play this carefully. Hampus is leaning forward, checking both the entryways over at main. Swing of QB, though, gets far as he taps that defuse, and Hampus now being played at the right moment. Body, HP doesn't matter when your opponent's back is turned to you. 3-0 start for Fnatic.
And this has actually been one of the best tournaments that we've seen from QB. I think when you look at his RMR campaign and even some of the events that we saw to the tail end of last year and the early portion of this year, we still, maybe as an audience, and me included, was hoping for more. That we hadn't quite seen that QB that we knew was out there on Zangle. But the more that I've seen from him in this event, Jay, the more that I've been impressed from him. Again, a very good sequence in a 2v2 where, in all honesty, it's down to him. I mean, Body's low HP and 8 main. QB's the only way they can win that round on the post plant.
Makes it happen. Setting Bleed back in with those pistols. A Hero M4 buy around the half invest. Bleed looking at Hampus to try and make the difference as Cypher does get caught first and foremost.
Vladen, here's one footstep out there towards A main. QB and Crim try and work together. M4 to get the trade, and yeah, Hampus does get one.
Body gets one back though. Vladen's 5-7, only doing damage towards QB, so another kill on the A site for him. Hampus is just going to fall back and save this weapon. They know it's somewhere on that B bomb site, so if they triangulate correctly, might consider going for the hunt.
Now, Fnatic have felt fairly comfortable in this beginning 4 rounds of the game. We look at their Ancient and feel as if it's very solid. You look at the last 3 months' performance from them, 10 wins and 5 losses, currently on a winning streak of 3 games in a row. Or I should say 3 games in a row on Ancient for Bleed and 4 out there from Fnatic. But when I compare what I've seen in this tournament, Jay, it definitely has felt as if Fnatic's Ancient's been better.
The one time we did see Bleed play it in this tournament was against the Rebels, and admittedly that was a 13-3. And compare that to Fnatic, who have yet to concede double digits since they won their first of this 4-map winning streak. Fast on Body. Gets involved against Farven, caught off on the defensive side, gets overwhelmed as well, bodied by the man. 2-man advantage, trying to make it 3 as Matties focuses on Vlad, and Cypher makes his way up past the smoke. I wonder if we're going to pick him. Matties is trying to read onto it. He's just about seen though. Body, low HP, could get traded. He takes a lot of damage with him on the way out the round.
Yeah, Cypher makes an impressive play down there from bottom lane and recovers it for a moment. Hampus up against Grims, SMG versus AK, but this is all about Allura distraction, and Cypher is so low HP, but yet he gets another kill. Makes it 3 in the round.
I'm so surprised he went for that face. Got it together though. Advantage Bleed as a result. Crim's being tagged up and alone. Has to see that bomb either rotate to his position or for him to make a play and allow it to plant down easy on that site. Afro slow walking into Cypher, looking for the body block. He saw the shoulder popping out, holds the tightest of angles and finally gets that kill in. Crims will start to act.
Oh, this spacing could be good for Crims. The timing works out nicely. Hampus is so low HP. Bring that bomb towards A. Crims has still got to try and deal with Vladen, and they're not exactly sure where he is. They know that Vladen's the A player.
I think he's hearing footsteps though. Held back against Afro. He's going to try and cut that mid-rotation just in case, but Crim sees that shadow. Hampus actually using that extra information on the T side to bait out what's going on here. Plant might be secure. I say that, and still Hampus is prodding to try and tag away Afro, throw them off their game a bit. 10 seconds, and now Donut is contested by that M4. Time really of the essence here, and no blocking. Vladen's covered off by Crims though. No! Hampus, he gets the kill in! Sneaking back from CT, the biggest thorn in the side of Fnatic as Bleed take their first.
Well, I don't think that's too concerning for Fnatic, is it, Jay? That round looks pretty much over, off for the basis of the triple kill that Cypher gets, and look at the economical damage you're able to do. Everyone drops. Crim stays alive. Your buy is going to be great. What's the CT side bringing to the table? M4 out for Cypher, M4 for Hampus, MP9 down for Vladen, another MP9 for Farfen. Body with a great double entry. And yes, you might be miffed ever so slightly, you don't win the round, but when you look at the economical damage that's been done, that's a very good one there from Fnatic.
Now it's the case of following on though, because they've had to buy back 4 players. Cypher straight into lane ahead of that flashbang that Matties was assisting in his kill with. Body credited with said assist and even Cirque driven back.
Look at this rotation. Gamble stack towards B. They're so desperate. And there's an A walk right now. In all fairness right now, I don't know how Bleed can recover this. Look at the utility they've got. Farfen on 43 points of health. They can pack up heavy, but this round looks done already.
And moving in towards mid, if they packed up over on the A site, then perhaps it would have worked out better for them because that bomb's going to make its way in now. Molly backside, smoked onto the entryway. Mattis doesn't see Hampers, but does adjust towards him. And now they start to make their move. That nade in from Vladden's only going to do damage. It won't deny the plant here. And Bleed are out of here.
Yeah, Fnatic are looking strong. Their defaults are very impressive right now. Mattis is getting some good entries out towards lane. They're working good timings. They're forcing over rotations. I am liking what I'm seeing from Fnatic on their T side of Ancient.
A very good way to respond to Bleed's sneaky kill. And as you mentioned, the damage will compound. It's not just the round win. It's not just returning. Trying to follow on their ended streak. There's so much more than that here on this T side. In the first quarter, up by a margin of 4. Might even get these last 2 kills on the way out. Cirque doesn't get challenged, so playing a bit more conservative and careful. They get away with those 2 guns here, but Bleed will be significantly hampered here.
And do you remember when we had that game yesterday with BetBoom, that first half of Overpass in which it was only Cypher and Hampus that was winning rounds? It was the only sort of way that that dynamic duo was kind of pulling that round streak ahead and that really one-sided scoreline. It makes me think here on Ancient, is it just down to that again? Now, Cypher had 1 round in which he gets 3 kills, and that's the only round that gets 1 from Bleed. We might just have to see consistent X Factor from Bleed in this first half if they want to contest against Fnatic.
We got Sark on the M4 and Vlad on the SMG, the 2 players that in this round have the best chance of providing some X Factor. There is the kill that drops the bomb, and it forces rotations back because Vlad has Overwatch on it, even sneaking forward. Will Crims expect this re-aggression? It seems like he does. Nades onto him with the flash support. He gets away from the AK spray though, and now Hampus has come in with extra support. The Deagle and the SMG. SMG goes back, and Crims knows to vacate main.
Their body's taken up towards B. Now, Afro just needs to try and waste some time. Try and slow down these A players. Cirque is going to be desperate for that trade being seen. Afro looking sharp with that AWP today. 6-1, another buy round can come through. And for Fnatic, you have to look at 6-1 and say they've got to be looking at what? 9? Maybe, I mean, maybe 10's a bit of a stretch. I feel like 9 T rounds is workable.
A hell of a lead right now for the Fnatic camp. Bleed unable to contest in this round, maybe expected given the buy stay. I mean, it was a good start, but well recovered from Crimson Co. Minimum 6, almost guaranteed to take the half here. Fast plays into that A bomb site. Vladden's going to put that incendiary down to try cancel. Smoke ahead of it. They're going to continue on with this. Vladden's M4 head of the smoke that's put down towards Donut. Molly's in the back site, and eventually Fnatic do stall it, but they continue pressing on the 3rd phase. Cirque's 2 AWP picks, comes up good, but doesn't catch the bomb carrier. It's only 2 for now. QB is extremely low though.
Try and get that molly on towards Cirque, might just kill him. Hampus playing the elevated angle out from Donut, and Cirque actually catches him just when the smoke starts to clear.
Straight shot. Marvin pixels away from being spotted, and Crims does take his head off. So 1 back for Fnatic, but they need a lot more than this. The 2 versus 4 for him and Afro. Afro's going to get incendiaried off position. The bomb's been dropped on the A site as well. No chance to rotate to B. They have to recommit. They have to reclaim the site. Have to find probably all 4 players from here.
It just shows how strong that utility usage was there from Vladden. It puts that incendiary down when he starts hearing the footsteps. Rotations came through very quickly, and Fnatic just kind of get trapped in towards A main and try and keep working the picks. The flashes come through, but Cirque deep in CT, not being smoked, just allows himself to get a couple of easy picks. Crims can work in from Donut. They can try and see if they can at least keep it somewhat expensive. At the same time, a hard save might even be a call here.
With no time left on the clock, it seems like that has to set in by nature. Crims is still hunting for Cypher, and she does take that rifle out of his hands. Rolling in for more outside of Donut, though. He's risking his rifle. And Bleed are staying back here. If they're going to get the kills, they're going to get them after time. We've got to worry about that money, though, so don't get too greedy. And yes, they will just hold positions on the site itself. Get their second to the CT side.
Well, once again, it comes down to a bit of X Factor. You look at Cypher getting that triple, Cirque. I mean, you could say that that was almost a triple. He gets, what, 2 kills from CT, and that third player that was crossing towards Big Box gets legged. So that's 2 kills and about 80 points of damage on the third. A lot of impact from him. Fnatic, though, look at what they did last time around. As soon as they gave in their first, they responded. Let's see if they can do it again.
Berserk, straight shot misses. Afro dives out of the way of Elbow alongside his 2 teammates. Again, Utility goes on to that lane position. Matty's right on the head of him. Jump face from Hampers actually gets on top of the box and gets the kill instead. So advantage gained by Bleed.
A bit of an off angle being held from Vladden on top of Big Box. Gonna try and smoke it off, so have to probably be a cancel from this point onwards. Bleed with a good start out there from lane. That's an important pick from Hampus.
Now 1 smoke forces Fnatic back. Only body here in lane. Mid take seems to be on the table here. There's no one to defend it directly from Bleed, no one in red. Just these 2 donut players to play double duty.
And this is where Afro can just walk on a contact. Now, he can hold house while the rest of his teammates almost prod and get a little bit more of a sightline towards Donut. Now, if they do commit into Donut, it actually could be a bit of a bait. Vladden might just try and jiggle, try and draw that attention in and almost beat them into the likes there of Hampus.
Nice nade. Walks into the T side.
They're getting so much respect. Bleed aren't making any info plays. They are playing so deep right now.
Finally, Afro gets the pick onto Farven. Cypher was caught considering a rotate, and Fnatic are going to rotate right back out of the B site. Again, they're going to waste quite a lot of time, so one thing goes wrong, and perhaps this round falls apart for it, but Body gets the kill on Hampers. Vladden has got to deal with both entryways. The right one is being focused here. Body just gets the kill anyway. Get out of here, Bleed.
Fundamentally, this is quite poor from Bleed. Yes, you've got an opening man advantage, but in a grand final game, you can't give respect to a team like Fnatic. You can't give respect to a team that has been together for much longer than you have, that are more experienced as a lineup, because they're just going to work mistakes. They're just going to start working picks. And when I've seen the CT sides from Bleed over the course of the group stage and even some of the early games in the playoffs, felt like they were very comfortable making those sort of info solo missions. I remember Hampus in a couple of games on Ancient and Overpass on CT side making those slow walks, getting ideas, stacking up the right bomb site. To me, Jay, that looked really stagnant. That looked like stay deep in the bomb site, play the man advantage, and give respect to Fnatic.
Terrorists win.
Half advantage gained by them, and Bleed may well continue to struggle from here on out, yet to connect consecutive rounds. Just those 2 individual ones. Fnatic just continue to run riot all over their map pick, and we kind of did expect this to a certain capacity. Doesn't mean that Bleed are without critique here, though. Trying to stabilize the economy state by using what they had saved in from the previous round. Not going to go best around it. SMG on Farven. Vladden with a pistol. Early fights on Cypher, trying to become that impact man that you mentioned. Not finding anything past that smoke. Seems to be a fast hit into that B bomb site. Body leads the charge. Matties does get caught off, but Body and Matties get a couple kills out before one falls. Finally, both fall as Cypher keeps the man advantage evens, but he's completely unsupported. Gets Afro on the way out and sets up a 2v2.
It's still going to be a tough retake because there's a lack of nades. Hampus and Cirque coming through quite quickly. Now, QB slows it down and tries to see if he's going to catch a reposition. AWP out towards short, nearly caught a timing of 1.
Instead, got out of the way as they started facing. Focus fire entirely on long, and Hampus gets the kill instead. So an answer back from Bleed. Crims all alone. Bomb is on the site. Both players are now there to defend it. You have to assume the worst case scenario. Smoke's coming down against him as well, and not going to make him any further vision.
Now, Crims has won the most clutches in the entire event at 11 so far. Could this be number 12? This resmoke, unfortunately, is wasting a lot of time. He can't exactly work around it.
Didn't see Hampus there past that smoke either. Should be fading in a moment. Who's going to get revealed to who? Oh, he looks away. Didn't register Hampus at first. And that one jiggle, that one mistake And sends the round towards the favor of Bleed. A third on them. Again, individually, though, not strung together. Tactical's going to get taken, so they can try and find that.
You could just see in that round 2 from Fnatic, rather than prioritizing that bomb plant straight away, they want to try and maybe cut a rotate or just slow it down and get a reposition. I actually looked at that position from QB, who had the AWP out towards default, looking towards long, and it's quite surprising to see that Hampus won out that duel. That AWP was scoped in. And not to be, though. Fnatic have had some variations with pace, and the trading game was very solid on the bomb site. 3-7, Bleed. I want to say for survival, Jay, 5 is necessary. I think 3, map's done. 4, map's done. Get to 5 CT rounds, there might be a contest.
Our target set. Can't put a foot wrong. Bleed. Nade sent. Molly's deep. Hampus looking for the opening alongside Vlad and his M4 crossfire over to the lane position. Lane check. Flashes are sent in from the T-side individuals over at elbow. Matties walks in. Spray doesn't line up much against Farvin here. Damage of the HE is going to be more staunch, however. Slight advantage taken by the T. Still no kills. That Molotov will send Hampus forward. Matty's got caught tagged to also at half HP. Might end up being a disadvantage, especially with the flash forward and the transfer that almost gets body.
And quite consistently, we've seen Hampus try and fight out from Shelf, put some aggression down there towards lane. Now the AWP is actually looking from Shelf down from lane while Vladden's holding the elbow cross.
Smoke's back to fade. 2 players to find in this one. Seen them both, but didn't get either of those picks. QB and Crim's come back with a couple, and Cypher returns to a 2-on-2 again.
He's got bomb control out towards the doors. Now, there's still a lot of time for Fnatic, and the B players are separated. Farfan was the one on B that took that HE out to long, so he's down to under 50.
And yet he's playing point. Hearing one man walk back in from mid. Might hear those rotations. Will he try catch the man? Yes, he will. Crims gets back onto him, though. 1-on-1 against Cypher. Trying to win another clutch. This time more manageable than that earlier one. But Cypher's got him marked as he ran right into the doors. Got himself picked up. And Bleed fine 4.
And it's the first time in this entirety of the first half that Fnatic can't actually string together a good buy. If they had at least a bomb plant there, it would have looked slightly better. But QB's the only one with cash, so it's going to be a rough investment for round number 12. And that whole round kind of felt as if for a moment it was Bleeds after Hampus's early. And then when Cert gets the other kill, it still Bleeds. But then the kills from Vladden out there from the likes of Elbow, it just kept transitioning on who was actually going to win the rounds.
Matty's very fast into this, forced by 1. Farben does get caught. Crims there with a trade casualty. Cypher still with the AK on the bomb site, with 1 pick on body again, but unable to hold it anymore. So Fnatic will take the bomb site, get that plant down, but you still got Mac 10s and a Galil to hold off the incoming M4s here. Just suppressed by those smokes, wait for them to clear here.
Now, Hampus knows that his teammates are going to be stalled. These players out towards CT of Vladden and Cirque, it's going to take them ages to get into the bomb site.
Deep smoke on Crim's position, so they're aware of the danger. Nade sent to backside, but Afro's much more aggressively inserted. These next 2 CTs need to press. Hampus gets caught off guard, and Crims sprays through both on the smoke. Fnatic take 8-4 to close out the T side.
And when you look at Crims being the highest rated player in the tournament so far, isn't it great to see that in a grand final matchup, not only has he got 12 kills, Jay, he's died 3 times. How does that happen? How does a player die 3 times in 12 rounds?
Dark magic, that's all I can come up with.
Well, it's a very good performance from Fnatic. Once again, their Ancient has shown for a lot of teams in this tournament that they've struggled against it. And the most surprising aspect is that in all the games that we've seen impressive Ancient performances, it's been the T side that's been the most dominant.
Well, it's going to need to be a dominant T side for Bleed here. Come back to Fnatic, how their CT half went down against the Young Ninjas. They connected that streak and they just didn't let go of a single round of the second half. Will it be the same case again? Crims does get a little bit overwhelmed. He's inserted behind him. Hampus finding Matty. Cypher does not know what's going on. Crims finally gets cut back by Cirque, and Body misses so many flicks on Vlad, and his P250 flick goes right to his head. And it looks like Bleed are going to take this pistol. QB and Afro will give it a good go. Seeing Shadows aware of at least one, not the second or the third, or now the fourth that's facing him. And the mid-walk from Afro is far too far away to have any support in this fight. He's all alone.
And that was a wild round. You can see there for Crims, he almost tries to hide in the smoke just to be able to give himself a bit of leverage in the fight. Unfortunately for Body, struggling with that USP out towards Temple. It was very pacey, very aggressive, and in the end for Bleed, it's a pistol victory.
That it is. One that sets them up with enough momentum to try and bring back this scoreline. Three more to make up on Fnatic's lead, and it should be a follow-up as well. Looks so confident, just rushing them down with pace in this one, Fnatic. We'll be bringing the force to the table here.
And this buy could be everything. Nade stack out towards Elbow does a lot of damage. 1-for-1 trade already, and they know that Farfan's down here, needs to keep it going, and now the shelf peek comes through. Afro's getting sandwiched from both sides, and yet somehow he's able to escape out to Donut.
Yeah, I recognized the danger as soon as it came in. It was very far extended, so as you mentioned, somehow getting away alive. He's lucky to be.
And that's what, 20, 25 seconds of the round? There's already been 4 casualties?
Number 5 coming up here at red. Cypher doesn't check all of his corners, so Afro, a rifle to play with, now can upgrade and try play the range game here. I don't think he'll need to, though. The T's are walking into the site.
Body's just spotting both red and ramp, so QB can actually be the late player to get impact. He actually might even try to deny this bomb from going down from cave. He's in a good tucked position right now.
Slow walks. Burst through on Body. 5-7 takes its fight. Molotov sent back. Plant will look to be secured. QB does not opt to swing. He'll give that cash bonus over to Bleed, but they might still find the retake here on Fnatic. Indeed, a kill comes in and Vladden is forced to do it all. Only 3 deep, 1 pick found, second players, and third adjusted towards, but doesn't line up enough on Afro. His Quadra holds the 9th.
That's a very good effort there from Vladden, but look at it from Afro's point of view. 2,200, farmed up money with the SMG, stay alive, and you have armor. Mate, you're going to get the AWP next round. You're going to get that big green out. Now, for Bleed, they're not double eco status because they got the bomb plant, but I feel as if they would be a fool to Glock it out here. Knowing that you got 4 casualties and a plant, buy it up. Put that pressure back on. Don't allow Fnatic to run away with an easy 10th.
I'll bring all that they can. Mac 10 on Farvan, Deagle, for Hampus, Tech 9s on the other 3. Much utility as they can possibly bring out, still limited as you would expect. It is indeed a force, but one that could yield so much for Bleed if they make it successful. And now out towards the B doors, is looking like an initial rush. They're not going to go so far as to commit just yet, waiting on Util.
Now, Afro didn't even invest into that big green, instead dropped a rifle over to his teammate. 3 on B and up against the defense.
Body forced out of the bomb site. Afro's blinded and he gets mowed down by Cypher and Farvan's combination. Farvan on 8 HP though is not going to last much longer in this round. Blind sprays the body, does not get towards that bomb planter. They are separated from the site.
They're actually bringing no one towards CT. Both of the mid players are going to regroup towards lane. So this should be all 3 players coming down from ramp, or at least splitting ramp and cave together.
Here does find Hampus. That Molotov burns him out into the open, but he doesn't get the kill on Cirque. He tried to stand and fight, and now the AK and Matty's burst on a Cirque's head. Good kill. I think he saw Vlad in there. Well, he sent. Crim's covered off by Cypher in the back. Farvan and Vlad can start to swing on the 2 players at ramp, and indeed, Bleed get back on track.
And I think it just shows there from Vladden just how much importance really came down to that 1v3 attempt of making sure that players drop. Anti-rush Util going out towards lane, but almost a staggered B lane. You could see that it wasn't the B pop, it wasn't instant, but get out there towards the doors, wait for that initial utility, and then commit up. Fnatic, they'll feel as if that was a prime opportunity to run away with this map, to get it into map number 2 very comfortable. Now for Bleed, they've got to try and see if they won't get anti-force spied.
A 3 to make up. Fnatic. Rocking their pistols should allow this much to go against them. Lead. Making a bit of noise that QB is going to try and punish it. His Deagle's out. But that first fight doesn't see the next head. Mollies are sent deep. Well, actually quite shallow, to be honest. Clearing out those back lines with a second molly instead.
Yeah, for Fnatic, an opening man advantage is going to be pivotal. Looks to be the B split. Smoke off towards Cave will deny a bit of time. A straight spam there from Farfan. Yeah, out towards the wood position. Out from lane. Gets that first kill onto Crims.
Unlikely, but good start. And two players that remain on the site itself will start to reposition around Afro's rotation. Utility setting the smoke and the flash. Hampus gonna go back to the deeper smoke. QB spams up Farvan, gets that pick. Body has gone down though. Cypher is being detected, but him and Vladen just hold their nerve and overwhelm all.
Okay, so this is actually a quite successful opening sequence of the second half in Bleed. While it was a little bit back and forth, and we've seen 4 spies go both directions, it is now Bleed getting to 7, should be 8. The issue I have, Jay, is the gun rounds. Once we get into the strong gun rounds, that's where I feel as if Fnatic are going to show what they're made of. They're going to show their depth on this CT line. Bleed, though, can look at this scenario and say, looked like we were getting blasted. Looked as if we weren't really holding our weight in the first half. We're down 1-6, down 2-7. Now with the scoreline only being a couple of rounds, they'll be very happy with that.
The Fnatic only getting 1 here, and that being in the 4 spy.
Terrorists win.
I mean, no further cash. Concerns can start to creep in for the CT side. It's not as comfortable as it was in the semis.
Well, you say that. Could we say that when it was out on Vertigo? Remember what happened there for Fnatic? They had that back and forth 4 spy on the CT line when they were up against Young Ninjas, and it actually ripped their economy. It put themselves in a position that every rifle round was always limited. There was maybe a FAMAS, there was an SMG. I don't even think we saw Afro have the AWP for a single round on that CT side of Vertigo, and it hurt them.
Well, Ancient it can't be denied at least, but maybe we might be seeing a Vertigo CT side on this map up or something of similar accord. Matty's trying to fight on Farm, and that nade should catch him. No, Cypher does instead as he peeks out from window. 4-on-4 gain, and the only rifle is lost to the CT side.
And it's in a position where it's just not recoverable. Maybe if Matty's was able to escape further towards Donut, then Crims could have picked it up. QB might try and see if he can get a Zeus kill out here from Cave, but across the board, this should be a comfortable round now for Bleed, now that they've dealt with the FAMAS.
Yeah, just USPs outside of QB to deal with. Campus is leaning forward towards the A entry. The bomb's still out towards B, so it's probably going to be an NB. But not via Cave, so QB might not get a chance to use this Zeus.
A Bleed. Pack heavy, out towards ramp, late lurk from Hampus, in from red. And they can just contact the whole way. Don't have to make any noise until that bomb goes down.
All the room to breathe with in the wild. And time plenty enough to get that plant down. This should be number 8. Maybe an exit frag? No, not on Hampus. He protects himself pretty well. Body will continue to challenge. We've got QB that is hoping that someone extends out to Cave in the end, because it's the only chance that Fnatic are going to get a kill in the post plant. Only chance they can hold on to a rifle in this eco and at least make it somewhat successful. Takes that fight from range with the USP instead. Cirque's AK just goes that one better. And Bleed are now within 1 on the scoreboard.
And we've spoken quite frequently about how Bleed is really Kassad's project. He was brought in first before any players were signed to the organization. Now, Kassad's last notable grand final was with 100 Thieves at IEM Beijing in November of 2019. Think about the gap of time that it has been. Again, he's transitioned into different organizations with Extremum and Cloud9 and moved into broadcast talent roles. But for that long to be your last notable grand final, this has got to be a great feeling that within, what, the first 2-3 months of the project, that you've got a chance of being in a grand final against high-end Tier 2 competition.
And I know it's like an online cup, but at the same time, you think about the ramifications of what they're going to win with this, like the 100 points in the relog circuit,
100%.
the chance to go to the LAN almost by default here. I mean, obviously, you still got to rack up a few more over the next 5 series, but like just the idea that you're going to get this early start, so tangible for them. And even if they don't get the win, 75 points is still not bad. The big springboard final for Bleed, especially considering, as you mentioned, it's only a few months deep. So early doors in this roster. Early doors in this round has seen them set up against the rifle by Fnatic, still limited. You talked about those awkward buys on the CT side. Well, it's out here with 2 FAMASas on Matties and Afro. Matties positioning himself in at Donut, backing away from the main execution coming in from Bleed. They might just concede the bomb site here.
This could actually be a full-on save, unless a kill is getting presented. They're playing no one on A, they're playing a double donut defensively. They're going to set up a backstab towards A main. The retake only comes down on whether they get a kill quickly.
All they do through the smoke. In the end, Vladen is caught just past the first 2 seconds of the plan. A re-smoke from the from the T side rather, keeps away from Banana. Quick swing of Afro. No one is watching main. Cirque is caught. Advantage on the CT basis. Afro's got a flashbang at the ready, and Hampers is being marked off on his own backstab. Fnatic versus now just 1 as those kills come in simultaneously. Cypher is overwhelmed. That was a near perfect retake on Fnatic. 2 points of health done to body. Wow.
And those rounds always feel so good, because again, when you look at Bleed, they've actually got a lot of map territory. They've gone for almost an A-walk contact. They finally start using that util, and it's those kind of rounds where you only go for it if you're getting immediate success. And as soon as you get that first kill out from Donut, it all starts coming into place. The patience that Crims brings forward out there towards Red, that's what I love the most, is that Hampus was lurking out to be the entirety of the round. And while there's Donut fights, and there's A-main fights, and there's players trying to get into the bomb side, Crims just slows that round down, deals with the lurk, and makes sure that Hampus cannot be deadly at the late round.
Fnatic up by 2. And they springboard a streak once again. Love to retake control of this CT basis. I mean, it's such a confident retake that we'd have reason to be scared of them. Bolstered money state, of course, a number of AKs being taken back from them and 1 more taken down in the mid position. Hampus does get Crims on the way out, though, so advantage is nullified.
And Matties has been quite active towards mid, though. Not falling off, still keeping eyes on watch. Body with the jiggle can now put the incendiary down. Cypher felt for a moment like he had an opportunity to go up off the back of it. He has to cancel, and now Vladen's been able to strike in mid and miss that timing against Afro and Donuts.
Give me my next task. Cirque caught. Cypher's right around that corner, and that bomb has been dropped. The dry face of 2 individuals, challenging Body as well. And Cypher just goes thermonuclear.
Now, Cypher's having a really good performance in this opening map. Smoke down deep. Should be no way here for Afro whatsoever. Farfan holding the smoke. Afro should be saving. Cypher's impact with those multi-frags gets him into a scenario where they can start pressurizing now in the second half. And for him, Jay, I mean, the last notable grand final that Cypher played was with Into the Breach in the ESL Premiership of Spring back in June of 2023, where they won that, where they got the conference spot. Since then, his days on TSM, the late stages of ITB, we didn't see them in grand finals.
And posting up 20-11.
Terrorists win.
Mass work done by him for Bleed. The entries that recovered a bit of an awkward stance that started off the favor of Fnatic, and the trades were being held by them and everything, but just those 2. Enough to tip it over to the Bleed favor. But the money saved by Fnatic still enables an investment here. You can see the guns coming back out for them, including the AWP on Afro. He himself is top of the board for the CT side. Let's see whether he can really turn it on.
It feels surprising that we're still playing out here. When you look at Fnatic's performance out in the first half, you'd think they'd be able to wrap it up a lot earlier. Bleed are putting in a contest, and it looks like it is an aggressive B, at least with util. Maybe similar to the pistol. They start going after the anti-rush util.
Working from behind those smokes. At least Bleed had been denied full control of lane, but it might not matter. It might be a wrap take straight up, spray through on body, whilst blinded by the flashbang, still gets Farman and Cypher. Nade sent his direction, he still looks for kills. He's got himself a triple, damn near a quadra. Crims is there to finish off Hampus, and Cirque now is all alone, securing a bomb plant at most likely not the defensive. A retake should come in for Fnatic, especially now that he's on 1 point of health. Mowed down by Mattis through the wall. What a defense from Body!
Well, that was class, and I think for a lot of people at home, go and watch that POV from Body. You are up against a B exec, and anytime you're a B anchor and you're up against a B exec, you have to be very quick on your thinking. Smoke goes down, reposition comes in. Look at the way that he's just pre-firing, Jay. He just knows that they're committing up. He doesn't have to wait till he doesn't get blinded and he has an opportunity to strike. When you're being pressured like that, you need to fire instantly. Good smoke, good reposition, good pre-fire there from Body.
And an all-too pivotal moment of the game as well. Bleed blessed by that bomb plant bonus. They're just about going to get the majority of rifles together. Vlad unlimited by that Mat 10 and Fnatic taking an extra 30 seconds to talk it through. Second tactical call in for them here on Ancient. A victory in this round could set themselves up for the win. For Bleed, though, it could turn this second half back on its head.
I have an opportunity to chat to the head coach of Keto. And remember, Jay, the last notable grand final that he was with Fnatic at Alyssa Masters Expo in November of 2022. And that is a lineup where Crims was meant to be at that event. He was sick. He ended up getting replaced from Pepsor as a stand-in. And no one else from that Fnatic winning squad is here today. So while he's tasted that success as a coach, he now wants to taste the success with a new lineup, with a new rebuild.
Fnatic may get it here. 3 AKs to play with. Fast rush out of Bleed. Afro's pressured, but again while blind, a CT-sided player gets 2 kills on it. Flick on Farben and all, and the Molotov just drives him forward. He'll take some damage. Body traded back, but he caught Cypher on the site itself. These last 2 behind the big box are all that remain of Bleed, and Fnatic are beginning to move as Afro makes it a triple on the AWP. Finally cut back by Hampus, who needs a full-blown ace. The CTs are moving together, and Matties takes a map point for Fnatic.
And how many times have we seen over the course of playoffs and group stage impressive moments from Afro? 20 kills and 10 deaths, the util coming towards him, the pace of that A main take, and the way that he's able to stabilize in there from Temple, win out that first fight, the second flick of that jump up towards the big box. Let's watch this one again.
Wow.
Oh yeah, now we're talking.
Beautiful. Bleed get a taste their own medicine. Cirque with an AWP play during the playoffs to get them up to map point. Fnatic with an AWP play to get them up to map point. From a guy that's delivered even in spite of that round. Look at the CT side, they're pressuring them. They're spraying Hampus down low, they're tagging Cirque up. They are so ready for 13.
And what more nades do they have? 1 smoke, 1 flash. Mate, this is so rough. The Molly as well, they are just trapped. They have no map control, they have no util. This looks over just off of the position alone. For Bleed, this is where you want to try and get one of your individual players to make something happen. And maybe it has to be Cypher with the way that he's played over the course of this map.
Vlad leading the charge out from Spawn. Crims caught looking the wrong way. So that one mistake might throw things off a little bit. They've got Matties, the second AK. Now looking in, a little aggressive. You have to face them all. Spray only gets the 1 pick, but QB gets 2 back. Almost makes it a triple, but Cirque stays alive. And Cypher is being challenged by Body here. The smoke will fade, and Body gets that kill. Now it's really done. A 13-9. For Fnatic. Cirque's got no chance at this.
None at all. Body playing defensive up on B. He's had some great holds on this B site. That entirety of the round looks so suffocating, looks so difficult for Bleed to take map territory. And it's so passive. Both of the CTs are actually kind of going to group up towards mid. You've got Body very defensive out towards red. You've got the likes of Afro and Donut. So they'll play a retake B setup.
They can play whatever they want. They know. Got everything to their favor. Body, here's the footstep. Cirque puts it down behind the harder cover of the totem. And the second man moves in. Flash does not connect He's looking for a fight here as well. Body had that information called out to him. Jump face heard. Engagement not quite gained by Cirque. Trying to play around it. Doesn't matter. Afro's closing in the pincers. Shot connects. He's never going to miss that. 13-9 for Fnatic as they take map 1.
And that was some testing moments, especially in the second half. Bleed gave in a pretty good performance and gave ourselves some good T rounds, but unfortunately it wasn't quite enough. And I want to talk about this a little bit. Farfan, where is he? We have been highlighting Farfan every single map, every single best of 3. He comes into today as the 4th highest rated player. He went 8 and 20 in the first map in a grand final.
And I mean, look, we put a lot of praise to Cypher for doing what he did there, but you are right. Again, those are the 2 individuals we highlighted the most, and Hampus tried to make up the difference, but he didn't have that same sort of impact that Farfan does when he gets involved in this one. So maybe that might be a solution for Bleed going into map number 2. But look, for Fnatic, it certainly is a positive. They got their map pick. They look pretty fantastic, and now we look towards that Inferno, the Bleed pick after this short break. So do not go anywhere as the grand finals will roll on.
1xBet and EVA Healthy present betting on all esports events on the website and in the 1xBet app. 1xBet. Play with EVA.
One chance. One dream. One match. One energy. One fight. One aim. One action. One hope. One expert.
Well, we do end up seeing Fnatic taking their own map pick. Ancient going their way. A bounce back at the start of the second half from the Bleed camp, but unable to get it done now. It's off to their home territory of Inferno. Now, taking a look at that last map, Dwayne, are there positives for the Bleed side that indicates that they can take this map?
Maybe not for map 1. I still think that their Inferno is very good. I think they'll need to get some more individuals involved. Farfan had a weak performance. Cypher played really well. Hampus looked like he had some good rounds too. So we definitely should be going to a third. The Inferno has definitely been the #1 map for Bleed in recent history. It's their go-to in vetoes, in best of 3s. So this is where they can show comfortability.
Yeah, no one's shocked they picked this map. Highest played map in the pool. Obviously, hell of a lot of victories. Only real losses against Godson and Into the Breach in the last few months. They've been beating everybody on it. Haven't had a lot of a chance to play it during the regional series. I mean, they got against Big and Rebels, of course, which are those two key maps during their group stage. But over the playoffs, hasn't been featured as of yet.
Yeah, and for Fnatic, at least we've seen a little bit of Inferno. Again, it's not a map that that they play all that often, but in the last 3 months, every time they've played it, it's been in this tournament. So at least they're getting some reps under their belt. At least they're getting a bit more familiar with how Inferno is going to come down. And when you look at the performance from Bleed against Rebels and Big, they were both competitive maps. They were both maps where a key few rounds here or there could have maybe dictated if it went a different direction or if it went in favor of Bleed. So it should still be quite a contest here in map number 2.
Yeah, I'd imagine the Fnatic would still try and look to return from an initial disadvantage. I mean, certainly they've also got their own reps in. I mean, they've had a number of maps to played on Inferno during the group stage and during the playoffs themselves. I mean, they lost to Preezy twice on it, but they also did take a confident showing against Attack. So, again, they've got their reps in. It's a case of now just replicating it, especially on that CT side. So, with the positive start being towards them, with the momentum being out on the Fnatic side, Bleed, of course, on the back foot, but on home territory. I think we were right in assessing that we're going to map 3, but let's see by what kind of margin. Pistol round is going live as we go to Inferno.
And this is a chance to see how consistent Bleed are going to be in their rifle rounds. Again, it was only that second half forced by back and forth that made Ancient feel as competitive as it was. Once we got into the rifle rounds and we got deeper into the halves, that's where Fnatic showed their true colors. Could it be different now with the map swap? You've got an initial spotter in there from Afro towards sort of the boiler and the second mid angle. QB up close and personal with those Julies into brackets could do a lot of damage if they can somehow drive the T side into A.
And the core of players is heading to B. Body and Matty's on defense. Body ready for an immediate smoke, just keeping suppressed, stall for time. There's still plenty of time to play with a Bleed right now, so just leaning in and around various positions, but not making any noise or prodding for any information.
And when you look at the clock and you look at the util of what's happening right now, this probably tells us that it is going to be a brackets explosion. And if Crims can bring enough distraction with Afro, this could really set up QB.
Smoke on long, Julies of QB trying to press in as Crims gets overwhelmed. QB gets cut down in an instant and Hampus finds Afro. Very solid execution into the bomb site. There's no one left at the defensive. Retakes a Body and Matty's if they even want to try and go for this, which seems so unlikely if they do.
You could just feel as if that check towards that long smoke was just so vital. QB was walking through it, hoping that there was enough distraction from both Afro and from Crims that he can kind of get in there and maybe get a bit of a multi-frag while they're all looking to short, but not to be, was still being watched. Leads. Going for the quick brackets pop, and it's very successful.
They're still taking for an all-important start. Way into the T side on their map pick. Of course, it's a case of converting. The one pistol that they won in the last map up was immediately responded to by Fnatic on the Force. It was also on that CT side where they're Force bought as well. Matty's going to get another exits. No, not to find the Julies. So no extra Kevlar will be held into the Force buy if they decide to go for it.
And this is now the 9th time in best of 3 history across the last 3 months for Bleed in which Inferno's been picked. The #1 go-to. one that they're very successful on. They're most comfortable. It felt that in the pistol. Now the second round from Fnatic can give us a bit of an indication to just how much back and forth affair there can really be. And you can't imagine there's going to be very much if you go down to the harsh eco. So a 2-0 start can be up here for Bleed now.
See if Cypher and Vladden can farm the cash, but whoever faces around this corner is going to be in pretty dire straits. Fnatic with 4 players on it long. Matties was initially holding towards that B site to try to see if he can get anything out of this. If they get anything out at all, it would be successful considering the USP basis. If they get a rifle especially. But again, as you mentioned, this shouldn't be much here for Fnatic. Campus all around the corner with flash support. 2 kills found, 3 kills found. Body does get one of those AKs to drop. But a Mac-10 can quickly make its way in, grab that weapon again. And the round will still fall the way of Bleed.
And just to kind of get into the conversation more with Farf, and again, an underwhelming first map from him. You look at his Inferno stats in the last 3 months, he's averaging a 1.32 rating across the last 9 times that this map's been played. So he's normally their go-to guy. He was the highest rated player for Bleed coming into this tournament and coming into this final matchup. So while it may have been an underwhelming map number 1, I don't expect that to continue in map 2. I think Farfen's going to be back.
Well, positive signs for him. In the only 2 rounds, it's 4 kills. Yes, 2 of them were against those basic pistols when he had an AK in his hands. Now's his chance to really get going when the guns come back on Fnatic, of course. Second round eco going the way you expect it to do. And Bleed now just looking to convert. Fnatic looking to start.
Now this opening rifle round can dictate whether this first half's going to be competitive or not from Fnatic. They're bringing 3 players towards B early on, try and get the anti-rush util down towards Banana. Quite quick from Farfen out towards second mid. Him and the likes of Vladden are up close and personal.
Flash in to allow a peek from 1 in brackets. Looking down mid, the smoke will come in. The spray and nade against Body tags him as low as 20 points of health, so Bleed might be siphoned off for map control, but they've got the HP start and down near an opening kill.
Very defensive in from Fnatic towards A because they have Banana. Don't really want to pressure Brackets and Banana at the same time. So try and work it as a bit of a pressure point. Cypher, just when it felt as if he maybe had an opportunity to lurk up towards Banana, try and create a bit of an opening opportunity, it gets re-smoked. And for Body, I mean, him and the likes of Maddies need to make something happen between the 2 of them.
Crimson's not going to make anything happen here at long. Held the arches. Hampus gets that pick in very easily. So now the storm towards A site is being set. Vertical crossfire here from QB and Afro. They do mow through Hampus. Cirque gets 1 back and Afro able to respond. But it's war on 2 fronts for the man, finding only that 1 frag. 3 on 2 still maintained by Bleed. Matty does make his way ahead over at the wine position. And does a lot of damage, but again, no kill for him. Farven makes it a 3 on 1. And Body, who was tagged so early in the round, is left in the late round to do everything else.
Body just faking out that he's rotated quickly towards B and trying to see if he can make it slightly more expensive on an exit. I think it shows there in that entire sequence a lot of low HP players, but not enough converted it into kills. Vladden down on 12 points of health, Cirque on 14. How different that round could have been if maybe Afro gets that 1 rotating position in there at Moto and kind of tucks himself out towards that cold 0 box. A good effort from Fnatic, but the trade's overwhelming from Bleed.
Terrorists win.
3-0 on the T side. 3 players alive overall for them. Fnatic on max loss bonus will go for the half invest around this M4. Not enough damage done to justify a force buy. Smokes across their board, upgrade pistols. Yeah, standard stuff. Bleed on a roll in the early rounds.
I do like that quite a bit of utility has been brought down from Fnatic. Now, the amount of smokes, especially on Inferno on the CT side, kind of means that you can slow down the pace of the round. You can maybe set up a bit of a gamble stack in the late sequence. Just slow down the default. Try and force Bleed to move into a bomb site with low time on the clock. At the moment, Cypher's a lot more aggressive into Banana this time around in comparison to the last round.
That leaning on Body. Body does get the kill on Hampus to start, but that M4's only good for the 1 frag, so all that automatic firepower Didn't get much in the overall round itself. Cypher will now storm the bomb site with backup. Second pistol will try rotate in, provide support from outside of the site. Matty's cut down as he makes his way back in, so plant will be secured. Not much left in it. It is a half buy. They have the max loss bonus that builds into the buy in the next. But I don't really think it's worth it to throw away this Kevlar.
And you mentioned just how successful Inferno being here for Bleed. I mean, 7 wins and 2 losses on HLTV since the lineups come together. It's difficult to compare that against just the 3 times against Fnatic. The sample size is so much smaller. We're more comfortable with Bleed. We've seen more of it. Inferno and Mirage has been picked quite frequently from this team over the course of the event. But they like their Inferno more. There's no denying that one. Crim's just going to try and see if he can recover that M4 right towards the tail end of the round. So, 1 kill, lack of investment, 3 players alive. Both Crims and QB hold on to some Kevlar. There's an extra smoke. I would call that a successful eco.
Certainly aids them in the true buy. And tactical starts coming in for Fnatic as well. It's a case of now converting this full buy into a round, something they've yet to gain so far here in this map. Leeds T-side start looking relatively comfortable. The economy state certainly built as a case in point of that much. Many players staying alive multiple rounds in a row. Minimum of $4,700, so no issues for an investment if Fnatic do win this round. The AWPs are also out for Afro. We saw how much impact he can have with that AWP in the last map. Only 1 kill so far here in Inferno.
And there's going to be a bit of a rivalry between Farfen and QB because they actually played together on Team Germany at the ISF World Esports Championship back in September last year, where they went all the way to the grand finals. So to now know you were with one another for a nation tournament and now you're going up against one another in a grand final, you'd love to almost stick it to the other.
Slow walk from Bleed, which is led up by Vlad, and Farven is in that court.
Well, this could be an Apps pop.
You can get into Apps itself. Of course, they are forcing one player back with that incendiary. It might stall for time. But this does look like an Apps pop setup. 2 players in mid, plenty of flashbangs to use as well.
AWP up against Cirque could be the first encounter. Out to the apartments, they'll be looking for immediate entries.
Sees the gun barrel. Sees the one. Hampers does get caught, so man disadvantage. Cirque now needs to set up those flashbangs or change tact. And Bleed will change tact back in from Boiler to support Brackets takes. Counter flashes to the CT side. They'll allow Afro to re-peek and see not much more. Cirque caught again with a slow walk, and that's that AWP impact again.
Now Afro to get 2. QB even getting a flash out towards the apartments. He's not going to peer with it. Stay up on the balcony. Cypher completely blinded as they start coming through.
Oh, Farven, decent headshot out of it. That nade takes him though. Vladen also gets caught on the spray. Farven somehow alive, but surely not for much longer. 4 points of health. All CTs now converging on the man. And this will be the opening round for Fnatic.
Well, that was very smooth from Afro, wasn't it? When you think about the slight repositions that he's able to bring, when he just starts moving away, comes back in, ends it off with a 3K. And let's just compare AWPers in map number 1. Now, we've spoken about it a lot over the course of this event, and especially the pregame. We know that Cirque hasn't quite been able to find that consistency. We know that Afro's certainly going to be leading that example in terms of impact with AWP. 21 kills to Afro against 9 from Cirque. That is something that we do need to keep an eye on for in map 2, maybe even map 3, on just how vast the impact is going to be between the two.
Afro having impact again in a key round for Fnatic, one that gets started. Buy up, of course, on all the Bleed players. As I mentioned before, plenty of cash to do so. Emperor body charging right in against Hampus. Runs by Path from Cypher, and Farman getting contested. There's so low HP on Cypher as Farman goes down. It's a 4-on-4. Matty's opting to retreat and regroup.
Now, Hampus is taking quite a bit of damage, and so is Cypher. That was a very aggressive maneuver to come through from Body. And when you look at the HP numbers, you've got to think that the in-game leader's actually done quite well there from Body.
Kill found, tag damage, even Hampus a little over half HP. Very good start for Fnatic. Bleed wary of how they play the rest of this round. That lurker of Vladden will start to leave apps and consider rejoining his teammates as they start to reclaim banana control. Of course, Fnatic have already backed up. Smoke's in the way. Grims has got an incendiary, and Matties has a flash that he can utilize when time is right. They're going to walk their way in without any utility here on Bleed.
Yeah, they finally smoke off CT. This is where the incendiary should go down from Crims, probably out towards default.
Instead, he peeks on Cypher on the or Matties with a pick. Not quite a second. Cirque maintains the AK spray, and plant is secured. Fnatic have no choice but to save.
It just shows there for the B players, not going 1 for 1 each means that the retake's just going to be off. And Crims tries to widen up the angle, gets caught off guard by the big green. And then right there for Matties, not being able to double up, not even being able to get that incendiary down either from Crims, overwhelmed the bomb site. And this is expected. Again, both teams are very solid on the Ancient from Fnatic and for Bleed out on Inferno. You look at the way Ancient went, the 6-1, the 7-2, the 8-4 scoreline. The 13-9, in my eyes, is a little bit misleading only because of the force by wars and just the economical damage that Bleed were able to do in that second half. I think if Fnatic go out with maybe an opening pistol or the opening rifle round in the second half of Ancient, it's a much tighter scoreline. It's much more convincing. So for Bleed, they're looking to do exactly that on their home territory now.
Well, force seems to be the call for Fnatic, and there's a lesser force, more of a true rifle. The rifles being saved enable that. Cash still in reserve, plus the loss bonus, so Fnatic might not be forced down to awkward economy states just yet. Bleed still on the front foot here, 5-1 on their scoreline. Fnatic suffering to the early streaks like Bleed did over on Ancient. We saw how it was just individual rounds from Bleed, and then it really had to come together from the 8-4 deficit. Slow approach from them, trying to keep as much info away from Fnatic, but Fnatic have pushed the apps here.
Now, this isn't an orthodox setup. You've got the AWP looking down from the ramp stairs. You've got Farfin trying to clear out Boiler. QB first to the trigger. The AWP should make it a 5v3.
As he runs away, Afro does fall back. Vladden holds his nerve, clearly a reading onto what they had set up. Unorthodox perhaps, but Bleed at least evade that second casualty. Still down by a man.
Now, this is where Afro's getting on the front foot again. Rather than playing defensively into the bomb site, he's going to look for another fight.
Sees the shadow of Cirque, but no! That's enough for him to bait him. So back to a 4-on-4. Now the smoke force to get utilized. Crim's caught out in the open, down low, and finally dead. QB and Body still on the crossfire. Body doing all that he can. Vladden catches QB next up. Body gets one responsive back here. The Orpus Cirque continues fragging, and Body is all alone. Crack angle past the divider. And does find Cypher. Hampus is also low in this one. Is it going to have to come down to Cirque again?
Now, this rifle out from Body is in a position where it's going to take a while to encounter. You look at that resmoke down from Moto, is going to waste a lot of time. Hampus out from Pit, Cirque into the mid site. This is such a tough 1v2 to win.
No kit, no util. And Cirque waiting for first contact. Hampus is up, posted and ready. Cirque somehow gets caught. Okay, sees the last man, and the bullets don't quite fly. The casualty, but still, he's got that pick. Has he got the time for it? I think he should do. 1 versus 2, and a 4K overall for Body. Fnatic. Rest on him to find 2.
Well, fair play to Cirque. He's actually had a very good round there. He actually opened up that bomb site nicely. Afro overextends, just fires slightly too early, and it's an instant capitalization. And then Cirque re-peeks back into what is the library angle, deals with the likes of Matties, and even puts damage down towards Body. That's a very impactful round there from Cirque, but it's unfortunate that you're not closing it down. When you look at that 1v3 position, you're kind of expecting Body not to win it out, and in the end, the in-game leader strikes.
Moment of individual impact. Second tactical still caught in for Fnatic, though. Can't rely on those clutches all the time to get all of these rounds. Need some confidence on this CT board. And Bleed's own economy state starts to get tested. A round right here for Fnatic. Start to swing to their favor. They can start to close the gap truly and potentially hit minimum 6, if not more. 7-5 is the best case scoreline for them at this juncture. And of course, both sides have the rifles, so not questioning any firepower.
Now, Body's last notable grand final appearance was actually when he was a stand-in with ITB in that CCT East Europe Series 4 event that they won back in November. So not even that long ago. There was a portion of time, Jay, where I think both you and I were convinced that Body was going to join ITB. There was a lot of results going their direction. They were getting deep placement runs, and then all of a sudden, it doesn't happen. The Fnatic call comes.
Or was that, I remember the quote you said at the time was, sign Body no matter the price for ATB. Well, they didn't do that. Fnatic did, and Body is still going to pay for it with Hampus' 2 opening duels, most through them, and this round is already over for Fnatic.
That's a great double entry coming through from Hampus. Raw mechanics out there towards the top banana. Body and Matties just get caught. And Matties is, again, another one of those guys where he's been so impactful over the course of this entire tournament. He's the go-to guy. He's been very silent. 2 kills, 7 deaths. Even Afro getting caught from Farfanon timing out there in apps.
At least QB can answer back to Vladin. But Farfanon is still fragging here. 2 kills to his name on the exits. There's no cash available for Fnatic and Spare. And loss bonus has been whittled down, so this M4 continuing to get hunted. Bleed want to put them on absolutely nothing. Cypher has been seen. Kill found on 1, running out of ammo. Forced to switch to the pistol. He still gets away with a triple, a quadra in fact. Hiding against Cypher. Finally goes down. He took a number of players with him though.
It's a decent effort. Unfortunately, that was a very good chance from Fnatic to get themselves a bit of a round streak, kind of feel as if they can really contest this first half, and they've blown their opportunity. They've allowed Bleed to get up 6-2, probably 7-2. I mean, most likely, we get 7 or 8 T rounds, and it could come down to another one of these performances, Jay, where both teams on their own individual map picks show the strength of the T side. That 8-4 we saw in the first half of Ancient, now potentially something similar to that here on Inferno.
Well, Fnatic have gotten themselves a respectable investment. Scout and SMGs, though, very much not ideal as Mattis goes down first. QB still on top of Quad, gets 2 picks for him. And the advantage goes back the way of the CT side.
And just when they worked that opening man advantage towards Long, wanting to keep the pressure on towards brackets, Vladin might be able to catch a good timing. QB's on 66 points of health and the only player on A.
Also without a helmet against that MAC-10. All the players are here. Very nice HE to open up info and even catch Cypher. Edge of the smoke being seen. SMG spray for Crims gets his 1 pick. His first pick of the game. Cirque responds towards it and Body is being engaged upon. The Scout firing blind from Afro, hoping for a lucky no scope or quick scope or just blind shot on the Cirque. Now he's seen on top of first and the bullets start flying, but he still can't get that kill. He's trying to bring back a manageable stance here in this 2v3.
You can see that QB still hasn't even over-rotated. They haven't spotted that bomb. Vladin's been very silent, only now making noise and getting out towards this AK. 2v3 with double AKs on Cirque low HP. This is still workable from Vleed, but it has to be Vladin. He's got to be the difference maker in this kind of round.
Starting to swing over in the CT cross, hearing the footsteps of QB as well. Looking to fight. M4 winning this fight. No. AK straight headshot. Afro and Body continue pressing. Vladin is now low HP though, giving Body a perfect chance to strike back. And now Cirque is all that remains. Seen in the backlines, does find Afro though. And without a kit, Body has got not enough time to make any real massive plays here. He gets that pick back in. And I think, no, he hasn't got it. Still going to be around for Bleed despite all the efforts of Fnatic.
And once again, it's another one of these close rounds where it's not coming down to a massive amount. I think we've probably seen 2 to 3, maybe even 4 rounds where it honestly feels as if 1 kill could be the difference in a post-plant success. 1 kill could be the difference in a successful retake. And right there, good time stalling from Cirque. Know that he was on low HP, didn't really overextend, didn't fight out there from the new box. 7-2, another buyback from Fnatic. Bleed, while they've been grinding and while these rounds have been very competitive, you look at the scoreline and say, we're in a good position. We're in a very good stance right now.
Five to the good in the first half. Fnatic continuing to force into these rounds. The buys are starting to look better. In the last one, they had 2 SMGs. Now they've got 2 FAMASs. But look at the HP already. That nade stack on Matties, and Body caught some of that himself. Not nearly as much returning to the lead side. These early plays in the rounds, just pushing Fnatic on the back feet, and well, there's nothing they can do about that except just hope for a trade later.
And quite consistently, Banana has just been a damage zone, hasn't it, from both teams. And right here for Bleed, they offer up respect towards Banana now. Crims is tucking towards Long. Now, there isn't a bait and switch. He's actually pretty much by himself. Until Afro can rotate over, they're going to leave Crims at Long, and he's actually going to move on his lonesome.
Incendiary back, spraying Cypher, does manage to burn him in the end, and Afro with that second for Masters drop the bomb. That should call the two B players back in the rotations. Afro an advanced angle, edge of the smoke as QB can catch Vlad, and it's all down to these two Long individuals who do grab that bomb. Afro providing covering fire, spotting Hampus on the edge of the smoke itself, and Cirque is all that remains. 1 on 4, awkward struggle through that smoke. Oh, it's not looking good for him. QB there to shut him down, and Fnatic can find an all-important third.
And what's so uncomfortable there for Bleed is that Cirque is double eco, everyone else isn't. So this should be a Glock round for them. They would have loved to bomb plant here, just to be able to give a little bit of extra security. I mean, I say that, they are actually buying up, and this is, I would say, the best opportunity that Fnatic have had all Inferno so far to pose a bit of a threat. Just a little bit, to get a few rounds in a row to close out this first half successfully.
Get to 5 on the CT side. Bleed could have looked more confidently for Fnatic. Still can't win the half here, but the best that they can do. Early aggression of body down at Banana, this time sponging a lot less damage, dishing out a lot more to Hampus in the early portion. Mollies will burn as apartments will look to get taken. The T trying to set up the split play into A.
QB's been very successful towards the apartments, trying to tail some of that util over to his teammate of Afro. The amount of times we've seen the quicker plays, QB stands tall.
Diving out, Cypher's Tech-9 can get QB. Afro picks up one frag, sees where that bomb is heading. Incendiary's come out as Crim stands in the open to get Farvan in the end. USP is combining alongside Batties in his M4 for his own double. Fnatic lock in the fourth lead. We'll have to force back for round number 12. Mentioned the money state. Not quite working out for them in the late portion of the half.
It just shows there, even though QB only gets one from the balcony position, look at the cavalry. Look at the player of Afro on the bomb site directly, that Matties is able to chime into the action, that you've got the likes of Crims there as well. It's just a lot of impact being set up from those riflers in the middle of the bomb site, rotating in through that moto smoke, and just providing that crossfire, making it difficult for the apartments play. Bleeds. Can there be any surprise here in round number 12?
Well, they've got Tech-9s. Can play with pace, headshots, potential against Fnatic. They can close the gap. Crims will get fully smoked off, hiding back at Cubby. He wants to take a much more advanced position as they start to look in from brackets control. Counter smokes are there from the CT forces, but Bleed only want to go so far. That nade won't do anything.
Just as they start moving away. Now, Fnatic have full Banana right now. Bleed need to try and pressurize either brackets or Banana. They've got to try and take some space back. And the issue is, even getting into the bomb site, they're going to have one smoke down towards Moto. They've got one flash to try and get them in.
Cirque ready with it. Hampus making noise. Matties does get the kill in. Sprays a little bit open now. QB hears them coming. The AK gets overwhelmed, but QB holds the man advantage, extends it. Cypher finally takes him back. The CTs are suppressed out of the bomb site. The plant can be secured. The retake, however, might be coming in a lot quicker. Body gets his frag. It's all on Cirque now. Tech-9 in hand. Rifle dropped outside of the site. Fights somebody, gets that one frag, but flash assistance with Mattis coming in from long will secure the retake and the 5th round to recover as much as they can on the CT half.
Well, from 2-7 down to 5-7 down, you have to say that that is a positive for Fnatic. Now, is it workable? It's questionable. It's not a strong scoreline to be in, but the way that they performed in the last couple of rounds, confidence is certainly going to be high. I was very impressed by QB. He had a lot of multi-frags. He had a lot of key rounds out there towards A. And across the board from Bleed, they'll be happy with 7T rounds. They can go into the second half and feel as if they're still at the advantage.
Yeah, I have to concur with that assessment. Good recovery, probably not enough. Lead. And Fnatic's key chance back in this half is to win the pistol against them. Springboard that eco, and then work from there. 2 rounds to the good. It's not a massive deficit. Bleed are being tentative about their positions, as are Fnatic, as slow as the T-side likes to be.
Now, spotting out the util player right there to the bottom of the ramp position from Afro. 3 on B on a tuck setup. You've got Cypher playing anti-flash out there to second oranges. You've got Farfen hiding out from the fountain and Cirque to take first contact. If they get drawn into B, this actually could be quite an exciting trap that Bleed have got.
2 nades set in, smokes now set up. Fnatic need Body and Matties to try and get these picks. The only 2 players with Kevlar here. QB be the first man forward. Hamper starts closing in the Pinzers. Now there's 4 defenders. Gooch is down against the back line of the CT forces. Cypher still able to get his 2 picks. Vladden with one of his own comes in from CT, and Fnatic are capitulating here in the pistol. 8 on the board of Bleed.
And one thing that I noticed straight away there is it took them a while to get into the bomb site. You could see the double nades go down towards spawn. They then have the smoke that go in towards CT and goes out there to the coffins, then the flash, and then they make their way forward. And the issue is, as soon as that double HE stack came in, Vladden already starts rotating. So while they're just denying a lot of time, Vladden was an A player that starts running through that CT smoke and just makes that crossfire stronger, just makes that crossfire more chaotic for Fnatic to deal with.
No bomb plant bonus, meaning that they will just go in with the eco. Bleed, ready for a payday on Cirque. His SMG involved with the first pick on Afro, Vladden, and Hampus. The rifles in support in various different positions. Look how much map control they've taken away from Fnatic.
Cirque, Cypher, trying to get those SMGs in aggressively, clear out underpass, look down there to T-ramp. Fnatic are toying with them. They want to try and draw them in aggressively.
Damage done by Matties, but no kill. End result should be Bleed. Again, dealing with these last handful of T-side players. No real workability for Fnatic. Any damage seems so unlikely. They're just toying with them now.
SMG looking in for a bit more. Body gets seen very deep and defensively out there to second mid. And Fnatic tried to see if they could draw him in, try and see if they can get a bit of damage forward. Cirque very close to actually going down to that clock there from Crims.
Now they'll adjust against. Lean forward, and Cypher gets his little cash bonus. $2,400 across the CT SMGs, and all 5 alive means that they can play those SMGs in the bonus round. 9-5 on Bleeds aboard, closing in on victory row. Fnatic have this rifle to stop them from getting to 10. And 4 more rounds to make up after that.
And this is, for Bleed's point of view, a bonus round in which you win it, you win the map. Simple as that. You're up 9-5, win this round, you go up 11-5, it's closing time. And there's a lot of importance in not only getting the economy in a good position, but threatening round number 15. Aggressive mid-smoke from the CTs, but also an aggressive bracket smoke denies Hampers any information on what's happening aggressively into mid or anyone trying to come in from second.
Damage sent on Cypher to start. 32 HP for him. Matties returns on, gets returned upon some of those HGs, put down a banana, but he is allowed banana access and even control for that matter. Bleed again rotating back to passive, set up the crossfire, rotate that 3rd player onto the A site. And Fnatic just continue walking.
A good space being created out here towards top banana on a contact. Farfen with the jiggle out from CT. Shoulder has been seen, and they're just going to keep walking.
He has no idea he's been seen. Finally put that smoke out. It might be a handful too late. Still, Cypher and Farben, and that crossfire comes together for them. Body and Matties out and about. Afro might have to contest outside of banana. Someone's going to go back for that bomb soon enough. It might have to be him, in fact, as these 2 T-side players try working in from brackets. QB especially looking to Cirque and his SMG. Doesn't even get that much. And now we're down to 2 on Fnatic. Bleed will take a very confident 10th, and I have a feeling now, Blake, that this map is going to be wrapped up soon.
It feels like the perfect round there from Bleed. Trying to draw in that crossfire, draw in the likeliness and the hunger out there from the T side on a contact towards top banana. Cypher and Farfen to work off each. And now it just comes down to the A players to trade.
Cirque's rifle not seen. Crim's can at least just think it's that one man, and they overwhelm Cirque, so they brought it back to a 2 versus 2, but straight through the smoke. Farthen does catch Crims. Afro will tap that bomb and try force a fire out against him, but no time left on the clock. Farthen knows to just wait it out. The round will be won off the timer. They can get the kill after the fact as well. Challenged, still defends himself, so keeps that AK in at least, but it is 10 for Bleed.
And that's the worst case scenario. Just see again. Fnatic felt as if they had a really good timing. Felt as if they could have crossfired into the site, out towards CT. And at the same time, Jay, I mean, those kind of rounds, we can sit here and say, oh, it's a great start there from Bleed on the 5v3. It's one of those plays where if it works for the T side, in which like they're both successful, right? If they both get those kills from Farfen out in CT, if they get that SMG on Cypher, that's the round over. And sometimes you see that those risk maneuvers, it can go either direction. And there for Bleed, that B crossfire was just enough to close the round down.
Third and final tactical called by Fnatic. Half invest, max loss bonus. Hero AK without the investment on Afro. Bleed on victory row, only so close to closing. Back up from those AKs again into mid. QB caught so quickly on Hampus on second. That's the man advantage already.
Afro desperate to try and get that trade, but just look at the counter utility. Incendiary HG driving him away. And when you've got a hero rifle, when you're backed up by only pistols, you've got to get damage out of that one. Hampus, slight off angle on a jiggle, start to reposition. Very defensive from Bleed towards B and A right now.
Kill on Cirque, Crim's down. Hampus still swings on Afro. That AK so trained and ready for it, but just no real chance of the kill. Body caught next, bomb dropped. Last man of Matties will also fall. Bleed 2 away from the W. Fnatic. 6 rounds to make up. Have the gun by here and now. The confidence that Bleed have played on their own map pick. No real ways in for Fnatic over the course of this second half specifically, and especially. Seems so unlikely they bring the streak together.
Yeah, Bleed want to close, and want to close quickly. Vladen with the AK, getting an early HE down for the bottom of T-Ramp. Matty's looking for that first fight towards Banana. Actually evading the double HE stack out to Brooms.
There's no set incendiaries on. Damage is done in minimal amounts. They read onto Crimson where he is, trying to fire blind, desperate for a kill, and Hampus just punishes him whole cloth. And even Matties will burn, not expecting that fire to spread. The retaking nades just forcing him back out. Body and Matties down so low HP. Fnatic down by a man. Bleed just continue the hype train.
And Matty should have known there. That smoke should have gone down so much earlier than it actually did. It should have gone down as soon as the incendiary touches the floor. And this has fallen apart. Crossfire out towards brackets. AWP to take first contact.
Kill on. Base for the second shot. Doesn't quite land it, but that's what Vladen's there for. Extra support. Finally, Cirque does get overwhelmed. The QB can turn that AK into a secondary pick. The A site is open. CTs are on the way. They're being wary about this and going to challenge directly onto Hampus.
And this kills everything towards long. All about the timing. Hampus goes down. Do they expect Cypher so close?
Yes, they do. QB with a quadra in this round. Stepping up when they need it most, but Afro now has to commit that bomb because there's a backstab inbound from Farven. He has not revealed himself. He's going to get checked by QB though. Knife is pulled out. The spray makes it look easy. That is an ace for QB. The top fragger for Fnatic by a country mile. And he keeps Bleed away from that point.
And that really has come out of nowhere. You look at the success of the opening damage out there towards Banana, how low bodies and Matties are just with the utility alone. And then a recovery. The work out there, the first crossfire, the NWP to take first contact, the rifle to work off of it. Pick after pick, this looks finished. QB, fantastic round from him.
Lightning fast reactions on Cypher. Was catching that last man off guard. Well played from the T side. Now can they follow it up? Not against Cirque and QB. Picked is the opening frag. And your top fragger has fallen on Fnatic. Suddenly this round looks very much more undoable once again.
Quite similar to the last round, lose the opening pick, but also look even more HP bars. Matties with a cracking entry out towards CT, and Farfan's alone. At least the rotator from Cirque is coming in quickly from spawn.
Smoke to lock him out from vision, so it's all a case of Farfan's timing. Flash support from Cirque, well placed. Matties only goes so far as that one frag. Trade back to the man advantage, and Cirque is looking for more. That nade pops open the smoke, and body is revealed to him. Fnatic just overwhelmed.
And when it felt as if Matties may have just been able to make something happen, may have just been able to work that round after that pick against Cypher at CT, it's returned instantly. And Farfan and Cirque to work off of one another. Another HE as Afro takes even a tiny amount of sponge damage down to 51. Him and Crims. I mean, we saw the recovery from QB in the last round, but this feels unlikely once more.
Engagement spray from Crims, a little bit caught off Hampus. Similar story for his own part. More damage being done by the T side. So again, they're trying to fight back from this deficit. Maybe Crims might be the man that come to hero at the right moment. Not to be on Hampus. AWP of Afro instead. No. Hampus cuts them both out of the equation. 12-6. Map point for Bleed.
And this is where you look at Fnatic and just feel as if once more have not been able to give that competitive edge, haven't been able to show that drive that we've seen in previous best of 3 series. And maybe similar for Bleed's point of view to how that game went against Bet Boom yesterday in the semis. Smashed on map number 1. Really good performance from them in the first half of map number 2. Struggled to close but got it in the end. And we have seen some one-sided map number 1s and 2s here in the grand final.
And Bleed will look to make it a quick end to their own map pick. Already they've started things off trying to pick up the pace on Fnatic's part. Afro finding Vladin at least opens up that A bomb site so the plant can be secured, and actually we might play on a little bit longer.
Now, just to strike your memory, Jay, one thing that I certainly remember in that series between Fnatic and Young Ninjas out on Vertigo is that they were down 6-11. They got themselves up 12-11 and had that series point, and it went all the way to overtime. Now, while I'm not going to say that we're in a likely environment that this goes towards overtime, we have just seen in the previous best of 3 Fnatic draw out games and draw out maps after being in a very one-sided deficit.
And we've seen from them before how comfortable they can look when they get their rhythm. Last map, key example of it. That's how it started on Body's part. Everything else fell apart from there. Lead. Those 2 rifles from the previous round. Hampus can also look to invest. I imagine they're probably going to force buy here. Fnatic, of course, get all their rifles out and need to carry this streak. 5 to get to overtime.
It's slightly quicker in that last round too. I think it obviously bodes well of why they went aggressively, because they got the first pick mid, and then as soon as that recovery of the rifle tried to get attempted out from the short side and to the back side of brackets, once they get that kill, they just go in quickly. A strong deagle shot from Afro too. And for Bleeds. And this entire situation should be them closing without getting Fnatic to double digits in my eyes. Again, with the depth that I've seen from them in their Inferno in recent history, with the depth that I've seen over the course of this map, it's never felt as if Fnatic have really threatened. There's been a couple of rounds here or there, but there's never been a streak. There's never been a good 3 or 4 rounds where we can legitimately look at Fnatic and say, okay, this is on for the 2-0. So for that reason, I do feel as if Bleed should close before Fnatic get to double digits.
It seems all the likely. Got a lot more buffer room on Fnatic. Have to play it out of their mind. Need to find those impactful individuals like we've seen over the course of their tournament run. Cannot afford to put a foot wrong on the T side. And at least they've got that third map, so it wouldn't be over if they lost out on Inferno.
Well, it could be. I mean, we talked about it on the veto, didn't we? We talked about how much stronger of that final map decider from a veto standpoint alone. I think I've been very impressed by the Anubis performances that we've seen from Bleed. So you might sit there and say there's still a third map. I say here, if we do go to a third map, it's still in favor of Bleed.
I'm not denying that. I think both statements can be true. For Fnatic, it's a case of what they prepared for them. You are right, though. Bleed did look fantastic. Fnatic have that buffer. Matisse and body mowed down by Cypher. Straight up, straight out in a banana. Afro's Orb can at least strike, but they haven't checked the bedroom. They're running right into Cirque, who's going to hold with his pistol out against Afro, whose shot rings in. But Hampus still closes the pincers against them. 2 to line up, 2 to go down, and map is done. Bleed will take this 13-7.
You can see there for Cirque, he's actually just trying to get a bait. He's actually pre-firing out there to the apartments with the 5-7 because he wants to slow that round down. He wants to set up that backstab from Hampus. 2 clinical kills from Cypher at top banana, and then a clinical reposition to come out from bedroom to get in that backstab. Both of the rifles just come up so successfully for Bleed.
Crims is all alone. Detrin Instincts versus 3, facing Cypher first and foremost. The man who kickstarted this round may look to end it. The smoke can come out so he can try and cross past this B site. Secure a plant, try force the CTs to act towards him, but covering fire drives him away. Maybe into the hands of Hampus, maybe into his triple, maybe into a way back into that A-bomb site. I don't think it matters at this point. The CTs are stacked up, ready to bracket him in. Crims works back into the B play. Hampus starts walking. Smoke's cleared. Gap now available to the CT forces, and this last player slowly but surely makes his way into the kill and into the round win, the map win for the Bleed side. Crims exposed, dead to rights. There it is. We're off to Anubis.
Indeed we are. And this is, Jay, back-to-back maps in which I think both teams have looked comfortable. Both teams haven't been tested a massive amount. And it excites me for the final map decider because we saw a little bit more there from Cirque. I felt like his consistency was much stronger. He had some impactful rounds with the AWP and not just the one-off. Across both the first and second half, he's holding his weight. So when we kind of compare the AWP v AWP challenge, especially on a map like Anubis, to go as a decider, this is encouraging to see more from Cirque.
And remember, going into that third map of that Bet Boom series as well, we were saying that we want to see more from Cirque on that Anubis, and that's exactly what we see now here in this map. We saw it in that third map in the semi-finals, so that's going to be a massively encouraging sign for Bleed as we go to a map that could also be one-sided for them. Again, I have to think about what have Fnatic prepared for this.
Well, again, when we look at Bleed, we can both sit here and say our Anubis, for their sake, has been very successful, especially in the tournament. We've only seen it the once, haven't we, Jay? We only saw it in that Bet Boom game yesterday. The sample size in this tournament is actually quite weak here. There's not many officials for Anubis here in the rest for Bleed side.
An outlier or a trend? We'll find out as we head to our final map of the tournament. Anubis between Fnatic and Bleed as the grand finals will come to a conclusion. Who will take the title and who will be left with consolation prizes? We'll find out after the break.
1xBet and EVA Alfie present betting on all esports events on the website and in the 1xBet app. 1xBet. Play with EVA. OneXBet and Eva Healthy present betting on all esports events on the website and in the OneXBet app. OneXBet. Play with Eva.
Well, what happens when you reach the end of the road? You find Fnatic and Bleed in on Anubis, our final map of the tournament, our final map of the grand finals. And Dwayne, just to reiterate what we were saying earlier, this is a situation where both teams have come out very, very confidently on their respective map picks. So coming into this one, we've got some true unstoppable force versus the immovable object scenario here. Anubis, you mentioned, of course, in that Bet Boom series for Bleed, was very confident. And as a result, that's why we sort of look at them and kind of pit them as the favorites. But that is just one good result there. We have also seen a one-sided affair from Fnatic against Bet Boom during the RMR the same. So how does that change complexions?
Yeah, I'm just going to join Fnatic just to spice it up. Not really for anything, just to be that guy. In all honesty, this could go either way. I think for Bleed, they've shown a lot in this tournament run. They've shown a lot of depth. They've only dropped a single map, and now you kind of look at them dropping their second map. You don't expect them to kind of go out. At the same time, for Fnatic, you had that game against the RMR that looked really good against Bet Boom. We also saw a really close game against Ecstatic 3 days ago that went into overtime. A really close game against 3D Max in the playoffs as well in their opening game. I don't know. I do not think there's going to be much in this last map decider.
Yeah, look, I mean, certainly in terms of recency bias, I mean, you have to look at that Bet Boom match and just understand how impressed we were at how the Bleed squad played, right? Like, I don't think either of us expected that result to be as one-sided as it was. I mean, maybe you could have made an argument to the favor of Bleed winning it, but just, man alive, the way that they performed, they looked so lights out. Cypher was firing on all cylinders. Cirque was getting involved as well. Over the course of this series, Hampers has been Mr. Consistent, and the top end of the board there for the Bleed camp, and QB has been the guy that has really delivered the impact for Fnatic when they need it most. So those are kind of like two of the samples I look at as the most key individuals that might make the most difference here.
Another thing to consider is that we know that Bet Boom are a very emotional team, and they should have won in 2-0. We look at that semi-final matchup and say that they should have closed Mirage and Overpass. And Anubis was that final map decider. Was it just a full tilt Bet Boom? Was that a factor to why it was such a one-sided game? Fnatic, they've got the depth of the team atmosphere. Now they've got to prove it. Final map decider in a grand final. Let's see who gets it.
Anubis appropriate to close out the first European regional series here for the rest circuit. Bleed and Fnatic, one team can take the lion's share. And in this map, as we say in the UK, it's for all the marbles. Pistol round live, Bleed on the CT side to start, and Hampers is already tagged low.
A very heavy outside B. Farfan will have to get this smoke down immediately on contact, but for Fnatic, they might still be running into this anyway. Smoke goes down, resmoke comes in, and rotations are very quick from Hampus and Cirque.
Ready for the nade to crack it open. Smokes down on the back lines of the site. USPs take the fight, and Afro can fight on Cypher, take the opening casualty. Farthen's walked right past QB, who turns back towards him. Afro quick to make a response happen. Fnatic are on the front foot, and the site is taken.
A very good trades from the T side, but this backstab out on the late lurk towards main could be a lot. Vladen and Cirque strike early.
Matty's trying to get back involved, though, to a 2 versus 2. You've got one man lurking in and moving up to the electric control. Hampus, such low HP here. One pick is one shot, and that's enough. Leave Vladen alone in the clutch, leaning in, seeing bodies, seeing Matty's. Good tag, not quite a good kill for it, but he does get caught back. What is that, son? 1 HP. USP gets the reload back, but he's hit the headshot perfect. And at this cloned range, it is going to be the Glock that once had the pistol. What the hell was that round?
Well, that whole round comes down to a very good sequence in which the resmoke comes in. They've stacked up the B site from Bleed. They break open the smokes, and the trades are very good. The entries into the site are very clean. You can see that even Farfan that was holding out there towards jail gets overwhelmed very quickly. And that backstab from Vladen came in so quickly with a contact that they can set up for it. Now, you mentioned QB was very successful over the course of this series. Most impressive player for me for Fnatic has been Matty's and Crims. Both of those guys haven't quite delivered to that same extent. And after seeing that 3K from the likes of Matty's, it makes me wonder, is this the map in which he fires up?
The solid start in the pistol. And should see him and his teammates easily convert to the follow-up harsher eco for Bleed. Cirque caught by utility alone. Bursts will continue. They try and overwhelm these individuals, try and get some cash on the board of the MAC-10 if possible, and actually run into that Zeus. That's one frag for Vladden. And that's about as far as it goes for the CT side. 2-0 start for Fnatic. Here come the guns.
And this is going to be a very good tell on how good Cypher is going to be able to perform. Again, when we remember back to that game against BetBoom in the semis, we know that Cypher is the mid player, and we know that he likes being in active roles, trying to get as much impact as possible, look for opening man advantages, try and make it uncomfortable for the T-side defaults. So I do wonder just how much action's going to be made, how much are Fnatic even taking mid, how many opportunities is Cypher going to have to get involved.
Weaken weapon.
Hampus, this is already just a jiggle outside of main, and he just walks, just a straight info play.
Gonna find nobody in this push. Might well set up the A site stack. Mid controls being considered for Vladden. Look to back away, hold the back lines. The back stab closes in ever so slowly. Fnatic, the longer they take, the less a chance they have in this.
Well, they have to almost commit, even through this re-smoke. Players on the bomb side directly, the backstab bit is still being shaped up. It's being watched for a moment, and I think there's already been a contact.
Body's down lower, 8 HP. Matty is going to get caught by Surf through that smoke. Needs to pop it open. The AK of Crims goes massive with a 2K. Farvan and Cypher there for the responsive. Still a 3-on-2, and Cypher is so low. Everyone seems to be so low. Cypher still strikes back. QB at 40 points of health. Now in for the clutch here. Time is on the clock. Bomb is still on the site, and Cypher repositioning. So tunnel vision was QB, and Bleed can take the start.
Well, that whole round is just chaos. And something that Body might be thinking about is how did they know so quickly? How did they have so many players on the A site? And the only reason they can do is that there was an info play so early on. I'm not sure if we're going to see that consistently. Again, I was kind of talking about it on the City side of Ancient. It felt as if Bleed were very stagnant, not making a massive amount of info plays. But that one right there, we're looking at, what, the first 15 seconds of the round? And he's already just taken B by himself. No, rush Rugs.
Fast and aggressive. More chaos ensues. That incendiary doesn't cancel it. They smoke it off. And Vladden calls for backup. One player's right behind him. Crim's the first man in with the MAC-10. Can't fight at range. The M4 sprays, and Matties is caught back for it. Plant can be secured, but Fnatic are down by 1.
This late lurk could be everything from Afro. The timing not quite there. At least he stalls the likes of Hampus for time.
Blocking each other out. They should be aware that they're making their way in from canals. Sees them both. Deagle fires. Afro still can't connect to headshots. He's stalling against them, aware of 2. Body might have to fight with the AK. He's full blinded by that spray. And the site itself has been cleaned up. Afro well known about. They'll get on that defuse. There's nothing he can do.
Well, it's a shame, because you can see there, because Afro is struggling out towards Rugs to deal with these Canal players, it brings more players away from the bomb site. Body has to kind of come away from the site and come into A main just to recover that whole scenario. How different one kill could have made there. Maybe if Afro even gets both of those kills in the Canals. Bleeds will feel as if they won't be up against another Force Buy. Maybe if there were more players to drop. Maybe if there was more economical damage. Cypher, 2 clinical picks in there from camera while we were maintaining and spectating what was going out towards Canals and A.
One of the 2 top fraggers for his team. Matty still leads the charge over on Fnatic at 5. Maybe he might not extend that. The Eagles are out for the entire T-side board, hoping for aggressive players. Hampus specifically lights on Body and wins it.
Cypher maintains the utility towards deep mid, and for a moment there was a slight opportunity timing here. Crims might be able to catch off the M4.
Instead, Hampus continues fighting, continues winning. Might get flanked by the likes of Afro here. His Deagle does just manage to get the kill. And a second pick back on Farvan. Didn't even see that one. Doesn't matter too much. Those 2 casualties seems to be all she wrote for the T side. 3 AKs to deal with the last. Afro would need an ace clutch in this round, and that seems very, very undoable.
It seemed like you were a little bit tunnel vision there, Jay. Maybe not the players. Yeah. It just shows you, right? Oftentimes, you get a little bit of a spam kill, players close towards one another, get a couple. And in terms of an expense, it's actually a pretty good round from this point onwards. If there's maybe an extra bit, if there's just one more kill on the bomb side, then you can say that this is a very achievable Weeko.
AK at Afro's feet, opting to play the information game and not give up the ghost on where he is. Walk into the B site. No one is watching main. I think Cirque's going to start to have the idea. Checking it at the right moment. Afro starts moving. Got a swing. Cirque holds the angle. Now he joins the top 5 positions. 3 on the board of Bleed as they win themselves in the lead.
Now, we obviously know that Anubis is one of the more one-sided T-side halves in the entire map. Oh, entire pool, I should say. Now, from what we've seen in the series, we had an 8-4 on Ancient and a 7-5 on Inferno. Some really good T-sides from both of these teams. So it almost makes me wonder what kind of back-and-forth performance are we going to get now that we're in what I would say is maybe more of the middle of the map pool rather than a strength. Anytime you get to that third map decider, it's going to be strong, but it's never going to be the go-to, is it?
Yeah. Bleed have looked strong in these opening 3 that they've gained. In the first quarter, Fnatic still look to contest. AK's out for round 6. We've got Crims trying to pros, been given quite a fair amount of respect by Vladden. But the counter utility would put those T-side players back. Bomb's yet to commit here, so just all about the defaults. And so far, no opening picks.
Afro is waiting to see if there's a jiggle or an overextension of that info play out to B main. There's nothing. Cirque and Hampus. Cypher waiting out for the boost on that top right-hand side of the smoke. Orb v Orb battle goes the way of Afro.
Still swing from Hampus, might even get a second. Okay, QB forced to bail out his Orpa. Cypher does strike back in mid, but takes a lot of damage. Afro similarly low, but that still leaves the advantage to the favour of Fnatic. Kraven needs to make a play, and he doesn't manage to do so. Might just be a save call. Cypher certainly is.
If they get another kill with the spam, it might have to be a retake, but you are right. Save call does seem as if it's going to be the right call. Farfen does everything right there. Smoke off main, get into the bomb site, has to try and create something. The orb is low, so let's just see how successful this is going to be. He's a jail, it hasn't been seen!
Has now. Vladden's running back to a 2 versus 2, but with Matty's catching him off guard. Cypher now revealing himself, and any real information advantage that he might have had there has been negated. He certainly doesn't have the HP advantage. He doesn't fancy himself in this kind of a clutch. Fnatic will make it squared up past the 6th. Challenging round still. 3 players went down on the T side. Bleed. Do they smell blood in the water?
Well, right there from Fnatic, they maintain that info play out to be very easily. You have a look at that AWP challenge. You've got the likes of Cirque kind of slow peeking into the angle. Afro wins that first. And then there's a pretty good timing for Hampus where he's maybe trying, as you can see, to catch them off guard, catch them repositioning with you 2 out. But because there was 2 outside B, even though Hampus's attention is drawn up against the AWPer, that's when QB can just swing on the contact, and it feels as if once they've got those first 2 picks on B, it doesn't really matter what happens elsewhere. That round is just going to be over. Get in towards the B exec and tie it up at 3 apiece.
Cirque straight into that mid-face. Fight from body will tap burst and try to do some damage. Very little is done. Vladden with a HE at the ready does fall back and put it up to the wrong entry position of the T side. Was ready to put it up rugs, but down the stairs instead.
We've seen Cypher playing this sort of unorthodox front side of the door in the last couple of rounds, trying to give himself an off angle to deal with body. And for the in-game leader, he struggled against Cypher. You have a look at Cypher at 5-2, body at 0-5. That's been the majority of the mid challenges.
A little over a minute to play with. Just suppressing here on Bleed. Bomb's on its way. Seems to be an end A.
Now, Vladden's got no util, so he's going to have to get some assistance with that flash from Cypher. Crims, when the smoke clears, this actually looks very promising. This looks very tantalizing for an A exec. Vladden just basically needs to hold here from default and establish a bit of a crossfire between him and Cypher.
Things go wrong. Rotations will be slow, but Cirque starts to make his way back in. Here comes the util. Here comes the exec. Molotov on Cypher drives him out of the way, burns him for a fair amount. Flash catches Vladden, he's forced to fight back from passive. It checks Cypher, the firing squad. Mows through 2, that's round done.
Now, Cirque's hoping to try and catch any of those T-side players, getting aggressive up the stairs and taking bricks in heaven, but nothing presents. There's even a little bit of a walk through that smoke at heaven. overwhelmed. And do you know what that shows, Jay? A lack of util from the A defenders. Again, you've got Cypher with a smoke and a flash, but he's playing camera side. He's jiggling. He's not holding A main. And for Vladden, once he sees the util coming through, he's got nothing. He doesn't have that incendiary he can put down to slow it. He doesn't have that smoke to cancel the hit. So that drawing out of the util in the mid round really hurt the likes of Bleed when they were up against the exec.
With no choice in this regard, they have to hold on to their weapons for Fnatic as they reclaim control. All 5 players alive as well, so they can really build off of this. Bleed, however, money is very, very light in those bank accounts. The second stage of loss bonus coming in. And thankfully, these M4s are here, so it provides a little bit of a basis to work from. I don't know if they buy for this, though.
Yeah, this should be a safe. And this should be work the 3 rifles, see what impact you can get out of it, and maybe quite similar to what we saw in the previous rifle round when Cirque and Hampus went aggressive out to main to try and make a bit of an info play. You need to be a little bit unorthodox in this round. You've got to try and set up the rifles for instant success.
Hampus will try and look for that. Body's making a lot of aggression. AK close against Hampus, and indeed, he does find that success. Pass that AK back so Cypher can pick it up. Maintain an advantage for Bleed.
Their body's having a tough time in mid right now. They need to find a different counter, whether it's a different piece of utility or maybe a slightly different timing. There is a lot of fights in which Body is giving away the opening man advantage. The boost up from Cirque, even being caught to low HP, is successful for the pick.
Matty's down, Cypher fought upon. He's lucky not to have taken a bullet. He's got no Kevlar here, so aim punch will be a serious problem. Father needs to provide support, and Cypher will fight from behind the smoke, spotting no Body. And Crims comes in with extra in position. Nades on Cypher do eventually catch him. Afro and QB combining for that kill. The plant will be secured. Man advantage for the CT side.
Oh, what a fight there from Crims, and Farfan close towards the smoke.
Wow.
He's going to go down as well. Crims has pretty much just won the entire post plant by himself.
Oh, wow, Crims. Well done, sir. Veteran instincts and still got it. He's still got those reactions. Might have been bottom of the board for Fnatic in the last map. But how much impact he brought to that post plant. A fight on the retake is lightning fast, perfect angles, perfect reactions, and well, instantaneous frags. 5th on the board of FNC. Bleed.
Terrorists win.
Losing one of those rifles as well for them. Only the AWP and the AK can stay in. They can buy for it at least, so they will have a rifle round to play with in the next. The thing that they started off so well against Body, and then this just happens. Man alive.
Well, I'd be fuming if I was Bleed. I know that that's only an eco with saved-in rifles, but that's a 5v3. You should be winning those rounds. In a grand final, when pressure's on, you need to be winning those. Opening pick mid, opening pick out there from A main. Bleeds. A crumble. Cypher out there towards Temple. Found nothing against the HE as well. Fnatic. Can they get a bit of a round streak going themselves? Bleed are looking to respond and looking to go aggressive into the canals.
Fast in, Matthews could get challenged from the back line. Cypher's going to have to get caught off guard early. Farven still finds that trade and falls out of the way.
A high tempo. You could see with instantly that aggressive play down for canals. They're looking to strike for a pick. Now they get the likes of Matty's out of trouble and at least get that return. Farfen backs off, back out to Dark, and then it gets slow played for a bit.
Bomb has been seen there with a quick pop out. Orb of Afro leaning forwards, seeing Farven and catching him, trying to bait for information, trying to bait out a missed shot. In the end, he extended too far.
Here we go.
Is so ready for Hampus. Oh, what a bait. He knew he got spotted. He punished it. Vladden even getting punished for his aggressive play, and Circus, all that remains. All alone on the B site with his AWP. Body's watching it, in fact. He might not survive.
Yeah, it's not a massive amount of, oh, who spotted who in that scenario. It's just a freeze. As soon as Fnatic get that kill out on the default player, you know for Bleed, man disadvantage, you've got to try and find a weakness. You've got to try and see if you can find a backstab to information. You've got to see where you can stack up the right bomb side. And you could just see Fnatic halter. A good, what, 5? Maybe not even 10 seconds. And then Crims gets an easy kill mid. Body gets an easy kill Rugs, and it just falls apart. This is a solid-looking T-side right now from Fnatic.
And now Bleed knows what it feels like to be bet boom on this Anubis. Minimum 6 hit by the T's. And for Bleed, the key thing I have to remember is the fact that the first half of them was also the CT side against BetBoom. That was a 10-2 half. They're not going to get anywhere near that here. -3 on the board of Fnatic. Certainly best case for them. Bleed going to put up some efforts to stop them. M4 and XM, part of round 10's investment. And Hampus is seen immediately. Body knew exactly what to do. No longer struggling here in this one. At least the nade sends the XM back towards Cypher, seeing whether he can hold against the corner. The nade sent towards him though, 13 HP. First shot against Back, switching back to the AK, doesn't last long. 2 more trades back for Fnatic.
Yeah, Body even picks up that XM for the close range fight in case there's another drawn jewel that comes out from the doors and out from camera. For Fnatic, we could be in another likely position, Jay, that they get another 8-4 half. And if they can get an 8-4 half and a third map decider, you feel like you're in a really good position. Great shot there from Cirque. Unfortunately, it doesn't feel like a lot's going to be managed off of the back of that.
Well, Bomb's pressing in from mid. Crims, the one guy that can come out and main. The M4 will try and make its way around. I guess Cirque has quite a fair amount of cash. They'll try their hands at doing some sort of hero-like play, but not for that pistol. And with Cirque, he realizes now that with his sight anchor being removed, it's just best to go back, hold on to that weapon, maybe look for an AK. There's 2 bodies down somewhere across the map. He got one of them out towards B site, so extra little bit of punch for round 11. Sticks around in spawn.
Very surprising once again to see an uncomfortable scenario for Farfan. And coming into today as the 4th highest rated player of the entire event. Him and Cypher have been our 2 go-to guys over the course of the group stage in their playoff games against Rebels and BetBoom, saying that's going to be the difference maker. Those 2 guys are going to be the reason that you're taking wins. And when you look at him only posting 20 kills across map 1 and on map 2 combined, you look here at the 3rd map decider and it's yet another slow start from Farfan.
Lead suffering. 4 rounds to the good on Fnatic. CT side falling to pieces. Hampus swinging in, looking for early T-side contacts. Incendiary's back against Farvan's position. Stalled out alongside Hampus on the center of the bomb site. Afro again dry walks. No one's in directive contact. How far does he extend?
Afro's been so successful with these picks out towards default. He's just scaling. Looking out towards Hampus. Oh, very, very tight shot out there to the pillar.
Nade can at least get a little bit of damage. Nothing significant. Nothing that would make an immediate difference. Information gained at least. Cirque falling back out as the utility action of the T side is put out. Afro does find Cypher out from mid, however, so that's an all-important pick and a man advantage again for Fnatic.
Now, Afro's certainly been outclassing the likes of Cirque of Impact here in map number 3. Crims, surely he gets at least 1 in the canals on a timing.
And walk forward to the 2 individuals or bracket them in, give them no options. The bomb could still rotate up towards B-side through Temple. Cirque does land on 1, but not to the second. QB tomes in the rifler on the site itself. Crims does get caught off guard by Farvan. So that's 1 frag back, but a smoke in the way of the main entrance. He can look to fight on Matthews by clearing up said smoke. 2 on 2. The retake is still back on here for Bleed, but Afro's playing double duty. His teammate needs to come in from heaven and provide support because his back is completely exposed. And he looks back in. Farvan has already crossed towards Black. Flashbang set close range. Farvan with his pick back. QB with 1, but Farvan with a quadra. There he is at last. Bleed with a 4th.
And we ask and he comes right there from Farfan. That's probably the best round we've seen from him, all best of 3. That round looked done. That round looked completely over. You're working a 2v3, you're smoked off towards main, but it felt like there was some guts. It felt like there was some draw forward. As soon as he gets up on that bench, use that height advantage, spam the top of the smoke, give yourself an easier shot up there on top default. And you could see for Afro too, he did not know it was AA main. He was thinking that there might still be a play to come through from camera. So that lack of information, Farfan is able to clean up.
And that's precisely what he does. Cirque's AWP posted early, trying to find those opening frags. Fnatic immediately prodding out on the CT forces. Round 12. Still important to them. You mentioned earlier an 8-4 half potential. Nade opens up the smoke, but Cirque doesn't get the kill.
And this time around, you've got Cypher actually not playing mid at all. He's actually come into a more defensive setup on A to the likes of Vladden. So this mid territory is completely exposed, and Fnatic are being noisy about it. They're definitely showing a lot of utility and sound to mid.
Quickly make their way back in from Canals here. Molly's sent. Rotations are starting to get called out from both the push forward from main and the rotation is Cirque from the back of Spawn. The utility in the way is going to stall out Fnatic's execution, and as they push on Canals, they recognize now that it's going to have to certainly be either a commit or a rotate back from this angle. It seems to be the latter. QB lurking will keep himself away from contact.
That's a really good cancel there. They're running into a trap. That resmoke came down at a good timing. Vladden out in A main, deals with the likes of Body, and Farfan actually gets flashed back into Electric.
Prim's caught blinded and dead. QB now looking to try and strike back. Stellar element for his squad in this series. Matty's going to lead the charge to the real execution, though. QB's just lurking. Fights onto the AWP, fights onto the Rifler. He's making so much noise. The rotations are called out of the A-bomb site. Oh, they have no idea. I think noise was just made, though. Vladden and Cypher hold their nerve. Vladden's finally caught Cypher with a swing at range. The SMG doesn't quite get the kill, and Afro's watching for it. His flick is missed. Matty's has gone down, and now he's got no further backup to get the bomb plant, to get this frag. He just shoots him in the Achilles heel. QB just somehow alive in mid. Afro ran down by Cirque. He can hold that defuse because now QB makes his way in with not a lot of HP and not a lot of a chance. Bleed scramble to get this round together, but they do just about find it.
And that round was just wild. You saw a lot of cancels, you saw a lot of moving parts right there from Afro, a little bit of an unorthodox miss. I think unfortunately what catches him off is that he scopes in the first time, Jay, and just before Cypher maneuvers again, he scopes in the second time, and it blows him off ever so slightly. That was so chaotic. And for Bleed, that little bit of success at the tail end of the half is going to be massive for their entire sake of this best of three.
Manic stuff. Wild round, down to the wire in multiple different regards there. Fnatic do get 7-5 at the turn. Advantage for them. Bleed now off to their T side. Statistically pretty even with the CT bases. We didn't get to see much of it over against BetBoom. Didn't have to see much of it for them to win that match. Fnatic. Oh, their defensive line ready to hold with the pistols. Flashes forward. Matty's has seen so many players. 2 heads plus footsteps close. No major action from the CTs. They do have 3 players, but look at that mid-walk from Hampus.
Yeah, it's going to come all the way into the backstab, and if they time it right and they pull enough distraction from B main, this lurk from Hampus is going to win them the round.
Smoke down at Temple as well, as they don't even suspect that he might be coming in for the backstab, because why would you hold off that position? Why would you deny his vision? Molly sent, it's all a ruse. He finally strikes Matty's with 1 pick, 2 picks. He tries to hold on, but with his teammates falling, not understanding what even happened, it's all down to a 2 versus 3. Actually 2 versus 2 in the post plant as QB's Julius can strike back on Vladden. Cirque is seen jumping out of the way and domed in by Crims again. The vet strikes out of Electric and Hampus is all that's left. Needs a quadra in this pistol and the bomb has been tapped. Not a lot of cover there at the broken wall. Swing forward, sees both, and QB makes it a successful retake for Fnatic.
Well, there's one person there from Fnatic who's got a chance of winning that round, and that's Matty's. He's the only player that cannot get seen from the backstab in there at Temple. When you look at the raw impact that backstab has, you feel as if that round is done. 3 on B, backstab in from Temple, coming through from main. 2 quick kills come through from Hampus, but Matty's, look at the kills that he gets close towards main. Those 2 kills were difference makers.
And with the last 2 set and ready with accuracy and sheer aggression, Fnatic secure that retake, secure the round. 8-5 on CT side. It's a pistol win that still found a bomb plant on the Bleed camp. They will buy back 2 AKs set for the Ts. I think that's all the rifle basis, though. 3 Deagles outside of that.
Now, Matty's last notable grand final appearance was out with Sampy at the MCR LAN event in the Czech Republic at the tail end of last year. He was actually in a best of 5, Jay, and was 0-2 down and came back to be the MVP of the entire event and win it 3-2. So we know what Matty's is like in grand finals. We know what it's like for him to get his team over the line. Is that start in the pistol the way forward? The force buy with the double AKs for Vladden and for Cypher. We've seen some cracking work for Cypher on entries. We've seen some great stuff from him on T-side. This is what he needs to apply in round number 14.
Incendiary, Stan, the smokes. Come back. Suppression of util. Keeps the T's at bay for now. They are quiet about this.
The body's still got so many nades. This is slowing it down. This is just building more pressure now for Bleed to get this exec forward. Is there been an info play? Has there been an extension elsewhere? Have they taken B main? Are we running into a trap? There is so silent right now on the T side.
Fnatic are starting to press over at Canals. Not seeing much here. Mollies again just stop them, stall them. There's only 2 players on this defense though, an SMG and an M4. Body and Crims. Body will get naded and Molotov out of position. This probably could lead to the end of his life. He drops in and does some damage. Crims holds on to 1 pick, needs a whole lot more though. And Cypher ends in. There's also a mid-walk that could cut off rotations. It should cut off rotations. If those rotations were coming back from mid or the site itself though, they're leaning into the backstab. Can they get this retake, though?
Well, Farfan is going to be the first point of contact. He's going to be the player holding towards A main.
Sprays down 1. Matty's a bit of responsive. Eager Hampus now joining his teammates. Afro caught, tagged up, not dead yet. He sees Cirque instead. Does so much to return. And Matty's dealt with by Cypher as Bleed will start off their second half.
I think, unfortunately, there for Fnatic, even though there's a lot of util being drawn to slow that round down, there isn't that rotation. There isn't that info play to stack up the A site. They don't have Afro in a position in which he can rotate from Temple down in CT and out to Beach and maybe bring one of those B players over. And right now, for Body, what do? You HE'd and you molly towards that back pillar position. There is nothing. You can try and maneuver quickly. You can try and get a couple of bullets off before you fall. But just perfect utility against Body meant that Crims was alone. It was down to him as the only player on A after that.
Second tactical for Fnatic. The Bleed, this is their way into the game. And into the lead with the way that this force buy is coming down. This will at least equalize if they concede it. Fnatic find a steal or focus on the rifles. Those are the 2 pathways to take. We've taken Deagles, the 5.7s. Kevlar with minimal utility. Smokes on 4. 3 flashbangs in play. Lead expecting them to have an ace up their sleeve.
A slight unorthodox smoke down there towards the canals. QB is tucking behind it, and Cypher's just watching the edge of it to see if there's something gimmicky. There is a heavier stack towards A, something we didn't see in that last round.
Ambus leans in. No one's watching mid, so kill comes easy. Crims down and out, flashing the body to try and make a play here. He does find Cypher and Vladden. Deagle back in the heaven position. May well get overwhelmed the same, but he's alive right now. Body still not being found by Hampus. His AK dagged up to less than half HP, looking for the headshots. Afro strikes. Body gets another pick back in. He's had massive impact. Fnatic now going to look to join him in his back line. He's got a quadra out of this. And Farben alone versus 2 more. His spray goes wild. I cannot believe they've done that. I cannot believe Body's done that.
Body was 0-6 at the beginning of this map, Jay, and he's just come through with a 4K on a force buy on the double eco round. That's massive. You look at the timing. Crims gets dropped out there with the weakness of the camera split. The A comes in. Afro's struggling. Afro's being pressured out there from heaven. He's not been able to strike with a kill towards camera. But Body gets 2 and keeps the pressure on.
He was low HP and everything there. I'm stunned. I'm absolutely stunned by Body. Bleed at least get right back on it, but Body's once again involved. Finding Farben, tagging Cirque, does run into Hampus, but look at QB out here at Canals. He's known about Can he get another pick back? He may be forced to fight. Indeed he is, and he wins that fight on Cypher.
That's getting so messy. So many back and forth kills. Surf desperate to try and trade the likes of QB. Somehow he deals with Vladden. Vladden was out there at Rugs. How did QB get another kill?
What is this impact? Fnatic bursting into life when they get their hands on the AKs. And Cirque now to clutch it. Had so much impact last time we saw Bleed on this map up. AK in hand, top fragger of the board right now. He's facing both the CTs. Both have kits. Crims! He gets his own kill, his own piece of the pie. A very expansive pie for Fnatic. 10 up on the CT basis. Bleed. Oh, they've conceded a wild couple of rounds. Is this where it spirals out of control?
I want to know how QB got his second. He was on, what, 16 points of health out there to the canal, and Cirque was searching. Cirque knew exactly where he was to go and get this pick. 18 points of health, and you could see it right there, just on that crossfire, somehow getting that one kill against Vladden out in Rugs. Bleeds. The back and forth affair has not gone their direction, and that hurts when you're down on the scoreline deficit. Fnatic, this is where you feel like they should close. The back and forth nature goes your way. You're up 10-6. You know you're going to be up against a weakened buy come this next round. This is prime opportunity, prime position to close this series out and win this tournament.
Tactical for Bleed. God, it must be tense in their comms right now. 4 to make up. Broken by to do it with. They are forcing into this. And Fnatic, that's prime real estate. You get this round. You storm forward to at least 12. 6 match points. 6 tournament points at that point. Swinging for QB. Takes point. Over at Canals again, alongside Matty's in this water push. Can Bleed punish this aggression?
And QB was very successful with it last time around, and look at how defensively Bleed are acting off the back of it, respecting the util, body and mid. These last, I want to say, 2-3 rounds, body's just exploded and been that extra guy to put up impact. Out from house, he gets seen and does a lot of damage to Hampus, but the opening kill goes the other way.
Advantage again for Bleed early.
They're making info play B main. They might be able to set up something with this. They'll be able to clear this out and see nothing at all. So this should at least rotate Crims back out to mid.
We'll start slow walking it with the smoke involved. They're indicating they're going to try and take something. But look at Afro. Look at how far he pushes forward. Hampus might get caught off. He walks his way forward into the smokes as the T's set up their execution.
This looks promising. This looks really good. They're stacking up A. They're leaving mid. There's 3 CTs on A right now.
Split player denied. Now the stack must be set in for the CT4s. This is a case of how many more players are out towards me. And Afro's going to investigate that as the defensive holds. Vladden forced out a TK by Matt's assistance. And a 3-on-3 ensues. Vladden is solo. QB and Crims lean forward evermore. M4 in particular. Look at the aggression that Vladden's taken though. Outside of heaven, he can still line them up if he piles his patience here. QB strikes, Cirque gets back, and Afro's involved. Crims leaves it all on the 5 HP individual as it clears. He gets his pick. Has no info on Afro though. Has heard some footsteps as he starts swinging forward to that AK. Taps the bomb once. Knows he's at the advantage, but does not know where Vladden's speaking from. Footsteps heard, and he does some damage. But the kill goes the way of Afro, as does the round.
That's such an important round to come through from Afro. And get this, Jay. The last notable grand final appearance from Afro was back when he was playing on Heat in the Illicit Invitational Spring event of July of 2022. He has had a long portion of time without finding success of winning tournaments. To get into this position, he has been fantastic across this entire best of 3. The performance that we saw from him out on Ancient, and now the performance that we're getting from him on the last map of Anubis.
Two to go for Fnatic. Damage done so early. Look at the force forward of Matty's finding Cypher. Farben with a responsive. Keeps it under control. But look at the action from Fnatic. They've seen so many bodies, so they're going to push bodies on B.
And look at how they just pummel the util, but Afro's going to go again. Flash around the corner. Happens is not ready, and Afro backs off. I love that. He doesn't stay around. He doesn't look for another fight.
Flash, peek, kill, that's all you need. No need to stick around. No need to get greedy when you're this close to the end. Bleed. Oh, still get pushed upon. Vladin not expecting QB to come out from Canals. Father not expecting Afro to stand in the open, and he gets himself a triple in this round. This one looks to be over. Bleed have been bled out of Anubis. And Fnatic are on map, match, and tournament point.
And with Fnatic as an organization not having a single notable grand final appearance in the last year, Jay, this has got to be a very good feeling. Knowing that you brought the likes of Body, Matties, and QB into the lineup at the tail end of the year to look for positives, to look to try and see if you can bounce back in 2024. They are now 1 round away.
6 to make up for Bleed, plus the overtime. Nays caught all 5 players as the rush comes in. Cypher trying to lead that charge. Molotov not going to stop him. Afro's caught blinded, but so is Cypher. Flanks against him, mows him down. Starts things off for the T-side with a man advantage. Plant can be secured.
Now coming in quickly from A main, QB's going to get flashed in.
The Eagles firing back against Father. Molotov burning. Nays to catch him. QB gets the kill back to return to evens, but has to back away with a counter Molotov. Matties trying to bait the T-side players to get aggressive in a heaven, and Search swings for the kill, but Crims is there to trade him. Look for Vlad, and next up at his back 10 can get the man advantage back only for a moment. QB continues to strike. 2-on-2. Cypher sees Body popping out, and Vladin can keep Bleed in this match.
Just about. What an entry to come through from Cypher. I think when you look at that round, there is a lot of utility. Cypher is very blinded getting out to that bomb site, but that one kill, that one individual towards Afro there at the default angle, that was the starter. That allowed themselves to get in quickly. The impact man strikes, but how long can they survive? How long can they hold on to try and draw this out to OT?
Pistols in play for Fnatic, and QB's unable to strike first. Body tries to get him back though. Working against these rifles, these Deagles in particular really would love to get a handle on this and counteract and win the whole tournament with a steal round essentially. Unlikely as it seems. Fnatic. To see what kind of damage they can do here. Economy isn't fantastic for Bleed, so 2 or 3 casualties and you might start to hinder the buy-up. Body above that smoke. Crims does get caught. Hampus known about. Body, I think, may have dropped off and made some noise there. Smoke is about to clear, and Afro has not been spotted. Now he has been. Both those kills come in, so no damage, it seems.
A Bleed dealing with the anti-eco effectively, slowing it down, freezing up, and taking a lot of challenges towards mid. Matties to try and see if he can get this kill to Farfan, try and hold an AK forward into the next rounds. Not to be. 4 more to go, and for Fnatic, you look at the money state, you look at how many more rounds are left in this half. They are going to have a buy round in round 21, they're going to have a buy round in round 23, and they're going to have a somewhat decent buy in round 24. They've got opportunities to close. They've got moments that they can take. This is going to be very difficult for Bleed.
Still playing from the back foot. Fnatic. Investing into that AWP of Afro. Still 2 weakened weapons on QB and Crims. How do Bleed want to play this? Up through mid seems to be the pool of Hampus. He'll be uncontested. No one is here for Fnatic.
There's another info play outside of B. Now, Afro's seen nothing at all, so he can leave the likes of Matties to go and make that aggressive play. QB might stop this play into camera as well. No, actually watch that timing. Body can now smoke off camera as soon as there's contact.
Seen it now. He knows what's going on.
Oh, this is good. This is a really good read. This info play from B main is stacking up 3 players on A.
What?
And Body even gets a spam kill through camera. Look at the damage down on Hampus as well.
17 points. The other 3 need to strike out of main. Hampus gonna get smoked off as well as second one comes in to suppress his vision. An incendiary to drive them back as the CTs continue to backstab. Looking from mid, they're forced to fight Circumvladden with a couple of kills. Further engagements as QB gets involved. Hampus can get that returning frag. So in spite of his HP, it's a 2 versus 2. And Fnatic on a retake to close this one down.
And no incendiary or HE for the retake, but Matty's to come in quickly. Afro can set him up with some util.
Flash forwards, incendiary down low HP. On Hampus' part again. Flash does not connect towards Matty's. The nade does though. Afro's all playing with support. Hampus the most exposed individual, still finds the shoulder, still finds the kill, and Afro thinks this round is over himself. He gets out of the way, saves his AWP. Bleed trying to bring home this comeback.
I actually think that incendiary from Crims was slightly too deep. Try to get it out towards more the entrance of A main than the front side of it. And what it meant was that as soon as that incendiary went down, they just all swang together and Crims kind of got caught in the open. Body would have felt as if that round was theirs. 3 on A, info play outside B, the damage from Farford and for Hampus. This should have been the closer. This was the perfect round to do it. Look at the entries that come through.
Circumvladden doing absolute work, and even Hampus as well to bail him out of a very awkward stance. Even that kill from Hampus, just the amount of HP he had, wasn't spotted by the CT. And Fnatic are forced to play on some more. Deagle pistols around the saved AWP. Protect the President strategies in effect. Bleed should be making their way up to 10. Fnatic. Actually going to push that AWP a little more aggressive here. Catching Circ, diving out of the way. Hampus was setting up utility, so that's an advantage. No rifle can get gained.
Let's see if there's some workability. Now, it's a very heavy stack out to B. You've got 2 players here, and that third player with the AWP on rotate. Afro's probably going to look for another fight. He's going to get into Dark, I think, and look for another.
Smoke on QB. Afro actually sees Cypher swinging. QB could get caught off. Oh no, Floodin lines them both up. Just spotted Afro, just adjusted back to the aggressor. Now that rifle's taken aback. The USP stands at the center of the bomb site and is overwhelmed by the rifle game. Now, 5-7 of Crims close. Body rotating with the Eagle up far. Flash forward, rifle been seen. Hampus has been caught. Vladin gets tagged up, and Body at 10 points of health is a very difficult 1 versus 2 to win. He's going to try it, but he'll fail. Damage done to Bleed is irrelevant. It's a 10th on their board.
That was very close once more. That was a fantastic round from Afro. He just gets so much impact, and it's a slight misinformation out there to Dark. He feels as if he can get himself in for 1 pick, maybe work around the smoke and look in for another. And right there, the M4 down on the other side. Vladin just catches both of them.
Two to the good, still on Fnatic, still 2 match points remain. But this buy will be the last defined rifle buy for Fnatic. They need to convert it here or start forcing back in for the last of the map up. Cypher, dry face into Afro, his AWP strikes. The M4 looks back in, Vladin scores! And it seems like that dry face is going to be enough for Fnatic to punish it all! Circ and Farben with 2 back to return, protecting the bomb, protecting themselves for now, but for how much longer?
Now, Hampus can try and work mid, but they know that Hampus is the mid lurk. They know that he's been working so much in this second half, these mid-territory plays. Circ and Matty's, this kill could be everything. This could be the bomb to get dropped. Which way does it go? It goes the way of Matty's. Bomb dropped, and now Hampus can't do anything.
The impossible clutch to make happen. Picking up QB, his back will be turned towards him, so they don't account for that mid face, but they know what to do. They have the bomb control. The crossfire can get set up. They can adjust for everything that Hampus can do here. 45 seconds to make these 2 kills happen. And they play passive. They play off each other's contact. One goes down, the other trades. Hampus has made himself known, making footstep noises, revealing himself as Body, and Matty's going for the swing kill. Found! The adjustment lands the tag, but no more than that. Fnatic take the first RES European Series.
Fantastic performance coming through from Fnatic, and we've said it all tournament so far, Jay. They've been tested. They've been one of the teams that's pretty much had a 3rd map decider in every best of 3, but this one right here, they led by example. Good performance from them on map number 1, their map pick, and then right there on Anubis, when you get 12-6 up, you're just going to close.
Wonderful stuff in the end from your champions of today. I have to say that this one was still going to be a bit of a testing affair. I mean, look at the way that the comeback was brought in from the Bleed side. Once they got their momentum, they really wanted to give it a decent go at the tail end. But Fnatic, of course, our favourites running into this series. Bleed, hell of an underdog run for them, though. I don't think we had many expectations with the concerns about the roster and who was going to be playing match per match, with the fact that they haven't found any success in their early sort of months. The fact they've gone this far is easily the best achievement for this roster.
Well, hopefully we get some clarity over maybe the next few weeks or even the next few tournaments to know what's going on, right? Because, again, we've had situations that Vladin stood in for Longs, Vladin stood in for Cypher. Pretty much this entire event, we didn't see Longs at all in a single game. So I think it would be nice to know what direction Bleed are going to be looking going forward. But for their sake, I mean, they had a lot of upsets. They took on a strong team in Big in their opening game. They then sort of got that winning streak going. I mean, even against Rebels, it didn't feel as if that they were going to be able to take that one. They weren't the favorites in basically every single series. So to come out to be in your first semi-final, to then go into your first grand final and put up this kind of fight against Fnatic, things look very positive for that international team.
I mean, you say that we haven't seen Longs at all during this tournament, and consider this tournament's been one of the strongest ones, the strongest run that we've seen from Bleed at all. Like, I think that indicates positive signs for Vladin being in the roster and for the other elements that really stepped it up over the course of this tournament. Like, again, Cypher coming onto his own, Farben doing absolutely great work. Those are the two key elements, of course, that got Bleed this far. But the better team was, in fact, Fnatic. They will take the first place prize. They will take the top of the cash prizes. And, of course, they will take the points and put them on the top 100 of the points themselves. You can see how the playoffs went for Fnatic. Honestly, didn't even know if they were going to make it past 3D Max, but that's what they were able to do. And there they stand alongside Bleed, our top two from the European division, alongside Fluxo and Imperial from the LATAM division here in the rest circuit.
And for Crims, his last notable grand final was with a completely different Fnatic-looking roster back in June of 2022 when they were in the grand final of Republic League Season 3. That's almost 2 years ago. So to think about the difference of organization changes that have been made, that you've gone in different directions, you've had new players coming in, you've had new in-game leaders, you've gone from Dexter, you've gone over towards Body, and now you've been able to kind of get yourself into a position where you would have been disappointed to not qualify to the major, that you just missed out in one best of three, and you come back and legitimately one of your first tournaments back is an entire win. I think that looks very positive for the Fnatic organization early this year.
And the prospect for Fnatic as well is that they are still going to be trying to, or they will be invited, of course, to those top-level events. Again, they are an ESL partner team, so 2 seasons of EPL coming up. I'm sure they're going to get some IEMs down the line as well. So the fact that even though they might not necessarily be a Tier 1 caliber squad, the fact that they've got the victory here in this in the online circuit now is going to, again, enable them to sort of build up their markers and try go towards the Restland and try find success in that particular event. So it's, again, just to sort of define yourselves, get some success under your board and try, actually, yeah, we do have something behind us. There's no reason to count this out in these events.
And I actually just want to give an MVP performance to QB in this best of three.
Yes,
I think
definitely.
he was without a doubt the winning condition. He plays very difficult roles. You look at him on Inferno, he's the pit apartments player. No one likes playing hard anchor roles. Out on Ancient, it felt as if he was a key player. We saw some really good pistol rounds from him over the course of Ancient T-side in this entire tournament. And I just think the form that he brought on map number 1 and the form that he brought on map number 3, some of those impact moments, those kills that still stun you on how he's actually able to make that happen. He was an MVP player. And when you know that Crims and Matties have kind of been the two go-to guys over the course of the entire event, these are the guys that we should be talking about. These are the guys that are going to win you games. For QB to play like that in a grand final, he deserves MVP.
Indeed he does. I'd even make an argument for him to be MVP of the tournament because the number of times over the Fnatic series is that he's had impact to bring them this far, to do as much as they were able to do. Yes, it wasn't the perfect run, but the fact of the matter is that he was such a massive element. So hats off to him. Credit to Fnatic. They do take the championship in the first Rest European Series. And that will conclude us for our week's worth of action. Very intense week worth of action. Some upsets, some wild teams coming out of the woodwork. And I think that we've got a lot to look forward to over the next handful of weeks, Dwayne.
I'm very keen to keep my eye on some of the Brazilian teams in LATAM. After all the successes that a lot of those organizations have had at the RMR to qualify into the major, I want to keep my eyes on maybe who's going to be the first couple to try and qualify from that region. And of course, be ready for the next European one.
Indeed, the LATAM division, the second series of that, kicks off tomorrow, in fact. So we're not starved of CS action in spite of this tournament's conclusion. The next European series, of course, is coming up a few more weeks' time from now on April 17th, so just after the major and all that. So make sure you're tuning in for all that action as you can decide, as we can see who the next team to take a title is going to be and who puts themselves in the conversation for the Belgrade LAN. But for today, for the last week, and for our action here in the first European series, with all we really have time for you, some great things to take away from today. Dwayne, give me some final thoughts on the tournament.
I think we want to see consistency out of a lot of these teams. I think it was a very good judgment to kind of see what some of these teams are going to be like. There was a lot of surprises. Again, there were teams that got grouped that probably weren't anticipated. Big being one of those teams, Amcal being another, Monty being another. I think what you can expect from the majority of tournaments is that even though there aren't going to be a heavy favorites, there's going to be your upsetting teams. Just look at what Bleed and Young Ninjas were able to do in this event.
We'll look forward to seeing who's going to be the major upsetters and who's going to be returning for our second European series. But until that point, we have to bid you all adieu for tonight and for this week. On behalf of myself, the Eternal J, my co-commentator Dwayne, and all the production staff and admins behind the scenes here at Reload, I want to thank you so much for watching and for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow for the LATAM region. But until that point, good night and goodbye.
Hello, son.
Hi, Mom.
Pretty girl.
This is Eva.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much. Your dad's just making his favourite dinner. It's duck. Come on inside. They're all probably too gruesome to tell you while you're eating at the table. How's your food? Is everything okay? Good, good. You seem to know each other.
Yeah. This is the new ambassador for 1xBet.
Oh, I see.
Everyone felt good when Eva Elfie became the new ambassador of 1xBet.